Welcome to Natural 6! Hey! So, this is episode 6 of our adventures in the world of Reliquiae. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are, be that on podcast, on Twitch, on YouTube, or maybe in our still in its infancy Patreon feed, which is now available, where you can get ad-free versions of this, you can get extra content, you can get stuff early. It's all very exciting. Do check that out if you haven't already. But without... Oh, no, I need to introduce you. I was so excited to do D&D that I very nearly didn't introduce you. Let's say hi to our heroes.
Hello, I'm Aoife Wilson, and I will be playing Dolly de Winter, the Tiefling Bard.
Hello, I'm Alex Jordan, and I am playing the Kobold Rogue.
Hi, I'm Doug Cockle, and I will be playing Kelnis, the Dragonborn Druid.
Hi, I'm Hollie, and I'm playing Indelian Rinnen.
You're doing so well.
It's really good. Go on. And now take it home. Take it home.
Hello, man.
Those of you on podcast, Ben has a notebook. He's reading verbatim.
Hello there, my name is Ben Starr. I play Radiant Thornbear, the Wood Elf Wizard.
Wow, that was really good. And I'm Harry McEntire. I'm your dungeon master and the other people. Hooray. That was so slick that it's just propelled us so organically into the world of sort of improvised, joyful yes-anding improv.
Yes, Harry.
Right, then without further ado, shall we play some Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes!
Right. So, last time, you began in the forest. Kelnis, Dolly, and Indelian disguising themselves in the cloaks and masks of your fallen foes. Radian and I, the character not me, hiding among the branches of nearby trees. After hours of waiting, and Radian and I sharing a hammock nap, someone finally arrived. It was an exhausted, hungry, masked dwarf who refused to give her name. She passed on a message that you were to return to the caves, but as Dolly questioned her further on those caves and probed for more information, she became wary. She suggested that you should make your own way without her, that she needed to rest and recover her strength. High in the trees, I made a gesture to tell Radian to stay silent, though after a poor insight check, Radian let fly with a mind spike which both harmed and terrified the dwarf. As Kelnis and Dolly attempted to intimidate her, she fled towards the tree line, Radian casting web before an arrow to the back from Indelian's longbow snuffed out the dwarf's escape. Chalk 1 up to experience. You headed towards Barun and stashed the cloaks and masks beneath a grate in one of the sprawling shanty towns that spreads out from the city walls. Kelnis spotted Radian replacing his cloak and mask in his pack, and though making his disapproval clear, the Dragonborn did not prevent his companion from doing so. At the gates of Barun, your bags were summarily searched. One of the guards moaning that someone called Grenweird, a member of the Council of Equals, was throwing his weight around unnecessarily by insisting on checking the packs of travellers who entered the city. You gained entry to the depths, the lowest level of Barun, and a hive of industry and activity. At its centre, you found a great staircase with a mural of the virtuous scarred by the words, "The shadow will flood," in black paint. Radiant spoke to a guard called Marcus about the group you had encountered in the forest and demanded a reward for this information, swiftly being shot down in that request. Marcus took the party's names, though Dolly referred to herself as Pamela, before you made your way up into the deal, the second level of the city. And after filling your bellies with meat skewers, you approached a tavern called the Wise Walker. Indelian, Kelnis, and I headed inside, but Radian spotted a hooded orc beneath a half-finished web symbol scratched into the tavern's exterior wall. He revealed himself to be a member of the web, telling Radian and Dolly that the spinner sends his regards. The others were retrieved from the tavern and you all followed the orc Casper to his hideout beneath an abandoned apothecary. There you met Juno, Casper's lieutenant, and Goff, a silent soldier who stared unblinking into the middle distance. Casper informed you of your new mission, to break out a member of their chapter, a halfling called Medea, from Burren Jail. You headed out to case the joint before midnight when a guard change would give you a chance to spring and escape. Down in the depths again, Kelnis wild-shaped. It was a big moment for everybody, really. Kelnis wild-shaped into a cat and searched the walled jail complex, making friends with a guard, which I nearly called a fish guard then, which doesn't make any sense, discovering a sickening act of violence that had been perpetrated by a female inmate that day. He also spotted the halfling matching the description of those you were meant of the one you were meant to rescue, locked in a basement by looking through a grate in the jail floor. This done, he returned, he explained the layout. I took up a vantage point overlooking the area and resolved to make his entrance via the roof, planning to shimmy down on a rope secured to the outer walls of the city. The plan for the others involved a disguised, selfed Radian and Endelian posing as guards while Dolly played the part of a prisoner, though Endelian wisely decided that her skills lay elsewhere, so she would keep a watch from outside. As Kelnis turned back into a cat and slipped again into the jail complex, Radian and Dolly put on quite a show at the gate, gaining access on the condition they were accompanied by another guard, with a glorious Scottish accent, if I say so myself. As they made their way towards the jail, I misjudged his distances, crashed into the ground, alerting the guards to his presence, but a swift clamber back up the rope afforded him a chance to stay unseen on the outer walls of the city. Kelnis entered the jail before dropping his cat form and trying to open a large door that gave access to the basement. Here he was spotted by a prisoner who begged to be released, though Kelnis snuck away as Radian, Dolly, and the other guard entered. Radian convinced his guard companion to go home for the night, though not before lending Radian his keys. And as you passed his cell, the prisoner made another plea, this one to Dolly, and she recognized him as Indy, an old acquaintance, and agreed to release him. He was too scared to help with the escape of the halfling, however, and instead snuck away towards the gatehouse. By now, I had made his way down to the ground behind the jailhouse, taking some falling damage in the process, before he scaled the building and shimmied down the chimney, joining his companions as they relieved the guard on duty in the basement. There you met Medea, bloodied, bound, and unafraid, chained in a cell between grates in the ceiling above and the floor below. As you heard the sounds of Indy being recaptured in the courtyard, you quickly removed the grate in the floor, allowing access to the fast-flowing sewer water beneath. Radian unchained the halfling but triggered a glyph, which left him briefly paralyzed. Medea insisted on having a weapon and, having been lent Kelnis' scimitar, thrust it through the throat of another inmate who had been looking at her in a way she didn't appreciate. Heaving Radian's paralysed body with you, you all jumped into the sewer, which is an extraordinary sentence that really could only come up in D&D.
Yeah.
And as Radian regained the use of his limbs, you negotiated protruding pipes, sudden drops, and a near-death experience for I. As Medea managed to swing herself clear of the water, the rest of you were catapulted out of the sewers into a lake beyond the city walls, stinking but alive, and that is where we are now. And the first thing we're going to start with is Endelian.
Yay!
Endelian, you have watched your companions as cats disguised as guards and as rope-toting kobold rogues disappear towards a prison complex. And then you have started to hear shouting. Roll me an insight check. We're going ever so slightly back in time for this.
Not that amazing, actually. That's just a 9.
A 9, okay. With a 9, you start to hear a commotion. You can't hear names, but you can hear that someone is being recaptured or grabbed in the courtyard. You are at a distance. You were in there was a kind of collection of buildings that you were near. I had gone up and got a vantage point and looked into the compound. You for now have stayed on the ground floor. What do you do hearing this commotion in the courtyard?
How close can I get to the gate of the compound? Because
you could walk past. I mean, there's nothing suspicious. It is a public thoroughfare.
Yeah.
It would be like walking past a police station. You're allowed to walk towards the gate.
then I think that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to try and figure out, are they in trouble?
Okay,
Not
so
sure what we're doing, but
roll me a perception check as you near the gate.
oof, it's not a great start. That is 4.
Okay, you hear a voice calling out in protest, and you hear the voices of guards. You can hear a sense of organisation. You hear a voice, a male voice. You think it you think it could be radiant.
Not my favourite.
If any of them are going to go.
Help me!
No,
Won't you help me?
absolutely not.
Remember that sandwich incident? Ugh.
There'll be guards at the gate, right?
There are guards on the gate. There were guards on the gatehouse, but you see that the walls have been abandoned due to the immediacy of whatever the hell is going on in that courtyard.
I just don't feel like I want to play heroics for Radiant.
Help me! Oh, to help me! I'm just a little boy.
I like that he'd sing. Good to know that Radiant will sing when under pressure.
No, she thinks it's radiant.
She thinks Radiant will sing when
I
under
think
pressure.
you know what? He really looks like the kind of guy that would sing under duress.
Why is it? And he has a slight Happy Mondays vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not my beautiful Indelian. Save me.
I'm going to go up to the gate and I'm going to see if there's a guard there.
There are no guards. The gates are locked. You could try and look through a crack in. I mean, these aren't airtight gates.
Yeah,
you could
just
right. So, you get you get sort of down on the ground. Just, I mean, I don't think you'd need to roll for this. You see a cluster of guards. You can see feet. You can see people rolling around. You look up. You can just about see the bottom halves of bodies. The person who they're grabbing and tussling with isn't wearing Radian's regular clothes and isn't wearing a guard outfit.
He's also singing a song.
And he's also singing Greenfinch and Linnet Bird from Sweeney Todd.
The thing is, that's only one person, and I know that there's 4 of them in there. So,
Is there?
in theory, right? In theory, you don't normally not get where you want to be.
Also, you'd never see you anyway.
True.
Yeah.
I just think, and Dylan's just so down the line about it. Running into that it's just death. I mean, I'm one person against now what is a entire cluster of guards in the gatehouse. I'm going to have faith that this might be some sort of distraction. And the reality is, they're an absolute chaotic bunch. The reality is, you might have opened every prison cell in there and told people, hey, you get a chance for freedom if you can run. Yeah, that would make complete sense. I'm just going to hope that they've...
Okay, so do you stay where you are, or do you kind of meander off?
I think if I was... No, I think if I was... If this has really gone badly, I'm going to need some kind of help, and the only other people I know I can ask for help here are also members of the web. So I'm actually going to go back to Casper's hideout.
Okay, so you start to make your way back to the central staircase. You see now that much of the black paint of the Shadow Will Flood has been, if not entirely removed, like faded, almost like it's pencil that's been rubbed out with an eraser. You can still see the shadow of it, like an echo of it, but it doesn't mar the mural in the same way that it did when you first entered the city this afternoon. We'll cut to the outside at this point, as you start to head your way back up the stairs and into the depths. The 4 of you are waist deep in shit, in detritus and waste, and you as you approached, you saw these various conurbations that are starting to spring, sort of spread out from the city. This is an area where clearly no one wants to live too close to it. So you have a little bit of privacy for now, but you stink.
Is there's a lake there, right?
You sort of essentially it flows out into this kind of wide, shallow, rancid reservoir.
Okay, so there's no
lake.
dunking or okay, all right. Oh my god! We need to. I cannot let anyone see me like this.
I is just sat staring and just rocking. Just rocking back and forth.
And I'm going to say the 4 of you have disadvantage on persuasion and deception until you're clear.
Oh. Is there any wells or anything nearby that we can kind of just?
Roll me a perception check.
An 8.
An 8. Okay, so you can see that there are these sort of shanty towns that have sprung up. Some of them have been there for quite a while. The city is about 100 years old, and you reckon it probably would have met its capacity about 50 years ago, really, in terms of the housing they had there. So there's no reason why some of these smaller areas that are closest to the city walls couldn't have sprung up sort of 50 years ago, and so have been there for quite a long time. And you can see smoke curling out of chimneys. There's signs of life. There's torches lit, almost like the streets of a village. It's almost think of them as a series of villages that are outside. And it stands to reason, while you can't immediately see anything, that there would be wells. There would need to be a facility for these people to have fresh water.
Mm-hmm. Straight over to a well. I'm just gonna start grabbing a bucket.
Okay, so you approach. You sort of step away, maybe a couple of hundred yards to the nearest. Yes, sloshing through the water. Are you all going with her, or are you wanting to?
Yes, yeah.
I is just literally just rocking.
I take his
just
hand.
Staring.
I take I's hand and drag him along behind me.
Okay, so the 4 of you, looking down at the floor, start to head towards a well, or towards somewhere where there'll be signs of life.
Yeah.
And as you approach, there is a sort of cluster of houses. Even in the kind of frost, there are kind of clothes and sheets drying on washing lines. Little vegetable gardens that have kind of gone fallow over the winter. Tangles of weeds where little vegetable, crops have been pulled up and are being left over the.
Would there be
winter.
clothes on a washing line?
Roll me an investigation check. See if you can find anything that's in the right size.
That's a 23.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely, I would say with a 23, you would find enough stuff on washing lines. Some of these are frozen solid in the cold.
Yeah.
But you find enough stuff that you could kind of slip
For
on.
everyone?
Yeah, absolutely, for everyone. Some children's clothes for
Radiant
with
actually goes
a
to
little
one.
motif with little needlework that says "I love my mummy and my mum loves me."
So Radiant goes to one of these lines and pulls them off and goes, "Here, put these on."
Right. And roll me a stealth check just to see if how quietly you can get the water out of the well for.
Yeah, I want a good wash.
19.
19. Yeah, absolutely. So you're able to draw up some water from the well, wash yourself. You are still, even, with cold water from a well, you can get yourselves kind of close back to where you were, but you'll take a minus. You won't roll with disadvantage, but none of you are now considered proficient in deception or persuasion until you can kind of really kind of warm up and get yourself. You essentially look drowned and you smell a bit, whereas before you stunk.
What if we're trying to, be stinky bums?
Then we'll take it on a case-by-case basis. I don't believe you have proficiency in deception or persuasion anyway. So it probably won't be a...
So
So just to kind of describe what Radiant... also I think that he would... they're all getting ready, but he kind of sneaks behind a little alcove. It's not far away, everyone's in the same general area of kind of these clothes, and I think he wants to get changed, but he doesn't obviously like the way that he looks. So he kind of goes into this little shadowed area and when no one's looking, kind of takes his cloak and his stinking clothes off, and when you do that, you see how the depth of the scarring that's all over his body, it's everywhere, and there's kind of gouges and gashes, and there's even bits where indented. The flesh is just missing in some ways, where it almost kind of goes inside, it's hollowed out in that way,
Like puncture wounds?
Yeah,
almost?
and as if some sort of crazed beast has literally hacked at this flesh, and there are literally bits of him missing, and it's very revealing. It's almost like all the facade that he puts on as a person, he just feels so incredibly vulnerable because he just kind of covers himself up, and he has found himself some incredibly ill-fitting clothing. Like it doesn't look good, but also for the first time, like he has to kind of put like a makeshift hood on, so he kind of looks like he's like a bit of cloth, so he looks like he's done like a little
A little kitchen
and the
lady.
clothes don't fit that well on him because he's doing everything to kind of cover the rest of his body, so he doesn't feel comfortable in these clothes because they're not his.
Absolutely. No, it's good to know. And I'm going to assume that, kind of canonically, you either took less equipment to the jailbreak. You've maybe left some stuff at Casper's. You've got some stuff with you, but I'm going to assume that no one lost any of their equipment. You still have packs that you can put on your backs and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, point of order, we need to find Dendelion soon, and then I really would like to get a bit cleaner soon as well.
We need to report back to Casper.
Yeah, we do, but we also need to have a rest at some point. Maybe 2 birds, 1 stone?
We could rest at the hideout.
What happened to Medea? Anyone see her?
She took off.
You all saw her grab those rungs that you missed, and you all heard her say, "Send my regards to Casper," as she shimmied up these rungs towards a sort of manhole cover above.
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't feel too terrible about never seeing her again. Try not to think too hard about what she's going to do and where she's going to go, but hopefully our paths won't cross again.
Not our problem.
Our fault, but no, not our problem.
We did what was asked of us.
Yeah. Doesn't absolve responsibility all the time, but hey, whatever works for you.
I want my scimitar back.
I would chalk that one up to,
Misadventure.
misadventure.
That's the first thing that Aya's literally said as he's just staring off into the distance wearing this "I love my mummy and my mummy loves me" t-shirt.
Are you okay?
Misadventure.
Gonna see a lot more of that, buddy.
Just continues to stare into the middle distance and nothing in particular.
Let's make our way back.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So this time you've actually flown out. You've come out in the sort of northeastern eastern edge of the city. So from the opposite direction in which you approached, and you get to the gates, and you can hear far off from the distance towards the jail. You can hear commotion, and the guards are a little distracted. You haven't got as much stuff with you. There's an even less engaged checking of your packs as they're kind of looking over towards this noise, trying to figure out whether there's any need for them to involve themselves in whatever this is. And they let you pass, and as you make your way through, everyone the 4 of you roll me perception checks as you slip into the depths. Radian?
21.
Calnis?
17.
I?
10.
17.
Okay, so a couple of 17s and a 21.
Yeah.
You spot a guard, red-faced, breathing heavily. Doesn't spot you, but runs over to the other guards and has a kind of hurried conversation with them. And they nod, and leaving him at the gates, the 2 of them run off in the direction of the lake.
How far is this guard, the new one?
He's 120 feet from you.
Great. We just keep moving.
Okay. So, Endelian, you've made your way up the steps. You want to just go back to Casper's hideout? Okay. So, you find your way back. You can remember the way back to the hideout, back to this apothecary, back to Jesko's. And, Yesko's, sorry. What do you do about getting in? So, what you watched was Casper put his hand on a brick and say fade.
Yeah, and I also remember I being really impressed by that and him going, oh, not anyone can do that. I'm thinking, great, because we know how much I love magic. I guess out of pure determination and stupidity, I would at least have a go.
So you put your hand on the bricks and you say...
Fade.
Nothing happens.
And then I go, shit. And then I just realise I'm probably going to have to stand here
Okay.
in the dark
Mm-hmm.
and the cold and wait for this lot to turn back up.
Right, okay. Roll me, let me roll something. Oh, right. Roll super high. You've not been, so you kind of sit with your back to the wall and you're suddenly aware with your back to the wall, there's a softening of the brick, and then you tip directly backwards, and as you lie back looking at the top step, you see Juno, who's this red-haired half-elf who you've seen before, short, close-cropped red hair, and she goes, oh, right, wasn't expecting, did you try and get it to fade?
Yes, and I hate magic.
Right, not attuned. Should have got you attuned.
Yeah.
You should get one of you attuned.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I'll talk to Casper about that. Sorry, I was just nipping out something to eat. You hungry?
No, I want to go inside.
Right, yeah, okay.
I'm going in.
You pop down, and you descend the stairs, and Casper's not there, Goff is, staring into the middle distance, knees pulled up towards his chest.
I guess I'm more than anything I'm looking for Casper, so I'm gonna go up to Goff and put my hands gently on his shoulder to try and get his attention to be like, where is Casper?
He, again, just as when I tried to touch him before, his first reaction is to jump, jolt, stare at you. He starts to scramble back. Roll me a persuasion check to see if you can calm him.
I probably can't. It's a 9.
He again scrambles back, his back right in the corner now, and he's refusing to make eye contact with you. What do you say?
I'm going to gently step back, hands in the air, like it really is. I'm trying to be as unthreatening as I possibly can. Very gently just say, I'm just looking for Casper.
And he's breathing heavily, looking at you. And he looks at the colour of your hair, and your hair colour is very similar to Juno's. And he kind of cocks his head as he looks at you. And then says, he's out. And then goes back to just staring ahead.
Do you know when he's coming back? Do you know where he is?
Nothing from him. Back to staring straight ahead.
I'm definitely leaving him alone. I'm absolutely not in it to traumatize him any further than he clearly is. Fire still going?
Yeah, there's a fire going in the hearth. There are bedrolls. There's a table and chairs, and there's all these dusty bottles on the shelves.
I'm actually going to pull up a chair to the fire, and I think I'm playing a waiting game. I do actually have faith in them that they're going to do this, and I have faith that the commotion was there for a reason and that they are fine. Sadly. But no, we've been through enough crap, and I have seen them fight. I'm not worried that I'm not there, that it's not going to be okay. I guess I'm more trying to find myself in one place that I can be found. Because I think in a city the size of Barunian, I'm aware of how big this is. It's a needle in the haystack. I don't know where they are, if they're going to get out.
Yeah. So you pull up a chair next to the fire and you wait. And speaking of having been through enough crap, we cut back to the other four of you, who, where are you heading?
Back to...
Okay. Back to the hideout. I would say you're probably a good half an hour or so behind. And
this is like super late at night as well,
yeah, this is probably 1:30 in the morning.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
Always hungry.
I am hungry.
I'm still stinking. I'm just like, food is the last
I've made a
thing
choice in life and it's not
Yeah.
food.
That was a mess.
This time of night, as you come out into the market, there are very few There are a few street traders still hawking wares, but it's properly you roll an insight check.
I mean, I'm really after tacos.
Okay, understood. Let me see what I can do.
Like a man that knows what he wants.
A little bit of street meat.
Not with that, you know.
Yeah.
11.
11. They are pretty. The meat does not look good.
Good.
But you reckon you'd be fine. You reckon you'd be pretty fine. It's like it's the last guy is still. It's an elf. He's turning this meat over some coals. The meat is more grey than anything else. But you reckon you'd probably be fine.
Honest, I don't know how you're thinking about food in a time like this, but
Really in it for dysentery today, aren't you?
you eaten from a burned street vendor before? You built up any kind of immunity there?
Well, I eat weird things in the woods all the time.
Okay, well, then you might be fine.
Okay, so I'll purchase the grey meat.
Okay, so as you go over there, you go to purchase the grey meat, and the elf is like packing away, and turns back as you approach, and you point at it. You
Is that for sale?
and he looks worried for you. He goes, I suppose if you, yeah.
Do you have any paprika? Do you have any paprika?
Yeah. And he takes the skewer off and douses it. And as he hands it to you, he goes, "You live nearby?"
Nearby enough.
Right. You'll probably give it a few. It's very hot off the coals. Make sure you're not too far from it.
All right, here you go.
I wouldn't worry about it. It doesn't take any money for it. Sends you off with your grey meat that is now a sort of vivid orange from paprika.
Best of luck, Cal.
Heading back towards.
Yeah. Aye, you okay? While we're walking.
Yeah, our eye is just now got one eye that's just twitching like this, just nods.
I offer my meat stick to him.
Twitching,
Wouldn't.
shaking.
Roll me, one of the four of you roll me a luck check. No modifier, let's just see.
Go Aoife. It's brave.
16.
16. Okay, as you...
Hell doesn't get diarrhea.
Cal hasn't eaten. And as you get a few streets away from where the apothecary is, you see Casper coming back from somewhere, doing something. He has a couple of loaves of bread under his arm. And he says, "Oh, well. Back so soon. My goodness. And almost
Yep.
a full complement of you."
Yeah, that was, it turned out to be a little bit trickier than we anticipated.
We'll speak inside.
Yeah.
And he goes to the thing, says fade, it drops, and you all go downstairs and you see Endelian warming herself by the fire, and you turn around and see a man with a dragonborn holding what you can see. Okay, you smell two things. First
They smell the same.
First you smell the faded smell of things that have been in people, and then have come out the other side, and then you smell something
Paprika.
that shouldn't go in a person.
And I walk up to Endelian. Endelian.
I was looking at, you're going to eat that. You don't eat the food around here.
Certainly not the 1 a.m. meat. You only do that the once and never again.
I just literally walks up to Cal and just one hand on his and just removes.
Do you want to let him do
the
it?
meat.
Yes.
Takes it over. Is there a fire?
Yeah, there's
just
a fire
there's
burning.
I literally just goes up and just.
Okay, you have to, Endelian, you're right next to the fire. You have to step away from the fire because it's like, it smells like burnt hair. Like it smells like
Paprika.
yeah, that's that paprika going out. That was some cheap paprika. So Casper turns to you, Dolly. Says, So, success?
Yeah, success. I mean, it was messy, but we got the job done.
Messy in what way?
Shitty job.
It was a shitty job, but I don't think
You look
any of
dre-
us were seen.
You look dreadful, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
really, you do
I've,
look
I've
dreadful.
seen better days, yeah.
How'd you get out?
Well, how do you think? Covered in...
Poo pipe?
Yeah.
Poo pipe.
Right.
It was the quickest way. It looks things
It
got...
absolutely is, but I didn't want to say anything because I thought it would really put you off.
Is there anywhere to wash around here?
No, absolutely not. But I tell you what, I can do. I can, and he goes over to, as I say, this is an old apothecary, so there's bottles of stuff, and there's also sort of various implements and pots, and he says we can, warm up enough water that you can at least have a hot wash.
Yes.
Right.
Let's do that.
Well, sounds like you've had quite the evening. Goff and I can see to making sure you can at least.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Are you?
Yeah.
Did you really go through the mill?
Tough night.
I'm so sorry to hear it. You look the worst of the five.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
want to
feel-
say anything. He goes over to Goff, and you see him whisper in his ear, and Goff just sort of nods, comes around a little bit, little hand on the shoulder from Casper, like it feels like quite a almost paternal gesture from Casper as Goff gets up and stretches, and the two of them go around preparing some water. And as he's doing that, he turns to you again, Donnie, and says, Medea.
She told us to send you her regards, and then she took off. Oh, and she has a weapon.
Who gave her a weapon?
That would be me.
And he sighs and rubs across his brow and then says, well, if she didn't get yours, she'd only get somebody else's.
Wow.
And then I goes,
And she has a hinge.
She has a hinge. She could do irreparable damage with a hinge. Imagine all the doors she could hang.
Who is she to you?
Member of the chapter. She joined us about 6 months ago. She's assigned to us.
She's crazy.
She's wild.
Where does she come from?
I don't know. I think from what I've gleaned, perhaps Ponvin. And you would know that Ponvin is the gnomish capital to the east of here.
I'm just gonna hope we don't run into her again anytime soon.
I think that's probably for the best. She's a fly in the ointment more than she's a help, but there are certain skills she has, which I'm sure you saw on display, that
Sometimes you need someone like that on your team.
sometimes you do. Yeah. Well, for now, a wash, gestures to the loaves of bread, something to eat. Juno will be back soon. She'll prepare a stew, I think, probably this time of night. Sees what she can get from the traders throwing out at the end of the day. Cook it long enough and you can eat almost anything. That's what I've discovered. Although some things are accepted. And he looks at Cal as the smell of burnt hair is finally fading from the room.
I have a terrible, terrible desire to eat fish.
Quite the rare commodity around here. Have you seen the tanks? And you remember the tanks of these stone tanks where fish are like alive, swimming in these great big chunks of ice. See what we can do in the morning. But for now, I think it'll probably be a stew. Warm you up after your long sojourn in liquid waste.
Did you get back okay?
Yeah, fine. I mean, I stood outside. I heard commotion. What did you guys do?
What we had to get out of there.
They they caught someone.
Yeah.
Clearly it wasn't either of you.
No, it was an old acquaintance of mine, actually.
Well, like they're back in there if you ever considered going after them again. It didn't get out.
Never know where you're going to find friends, do you? Most unexpected places a lot of the time.
Did you know?
Did I know what?
Did you know they would not come back?
Medea. I long ago stopped trying to predict her movements with any degree of certainty.
Why did we need to get her out if you did not think they would come back?
She's an asset to the web. She's not an asset to the web in a cell. She can't be weaponized when we can't reach her.
She can't be controlled.
No, I agree with you. But it's not my call. You're not here because you want to be. I don't have her attached to my chapter because I want her. If anything, I'd love someone to take her off my hands. She disappears sometimes for days at a time and then reappears. I don't know where she goes.
You know how it is. People get put together, and you don't have a lot of control over that.
I'm guessing you've not known each other since birth.
There is not tribe.
No, quite.
Not tribe, because it's not safe to think of each other as a tribe.
Roll me a persuasion check. No proficiency, you still smell. Oh, actually, on each other, you all smell as bad as each other. You can have your proficiency.
Yeah, you do.
Yay! That is 13. Great.
So I would classify that as a mixed success failure. So you can interpret that however you think I would respond.
Goes and sits where Goff was sat
On Goff's bedroll.
and assumes that just stares into the fire.
Casper looks at Goff, who's at this point warming kind of containers of water for you all, and with a little wry smile says to him, "Looks like you've got some competition." And Goff gives sort of the barest self-aware look as he glances over to you, sat in his position on his bedroll. I'm going to assume, unless there is anything people want to talk about, particular discussions people want to have, which you're very welcome to do, that the rest of the night is you bathing and you washing yourselves, and Juno comes back and prepares some food.
Yeah. I would like to say something.
You would like to say something. Absolutely. There's plenty of room for that sort of thing. So until, but once people have done what they want to do, we'll move forward, but there's no rush to do that.
I think at some point in the evening, I pull Dolly aside and say, "Who was Indy to you?"
Are you trying to have this conversation outside of earshot of other people?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll stealth.
That is 13.
I will say that everyone apart from Kelnis is unaware this conversation is happening, including Juno, who's back by now, including Goff and including Casper.
Who was Indy to you?
Like I said, we used to work together.
Certainly wasn't a friend.
Why do you say that?
You knew what you were doing.
Doing what? No, I didn't. I was prioritizing the mission.
He was safer with us.
Yeah, but he didn't want to go with us.
Yes, he did. He could have been killed.
Okay. Yeah, he could have. But he wasn't, that we know of.
Like you care.
Don't give me that. You've put us in danger 10 times in the last 24 hours.
Are you alive?
Yes.
I've saved your life on many occasions that I could prove myself. It's quite clear that you don't really care. You present yourself to be this caring individual, but you don't. You are not who you say you are.
Where's this coming from?
I need to know that I can trust you.
You can trust me.
Oh, very convincing.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Who are you? Why are you here?
When I first met you guys, I told you that I am good with words. And I am. But more than books or scrolls or anything else, what I do best is read people. I look at a person and I can tell what they fear, what they want, what they need. And with the right words, with the right sympathetic signs, I can get them to tell me a lot of things. And I use that to my advantage. The web saw an opportunity and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And that's where I am.
What do I need? If you're so good at reading people. You seem to have opinions.
You have opinions. And I haven't figured that out yet. So I've told you. You tell me. Where do you come from?
I don't remember much about who I was. I woke up. My brother, standing over me, took me to my family. They took me in, they nursed me back to health. And then it changed. I wasn't shown love. I was treated not as family, I was treated as something else. I was trapped away, alone, and then they sent me to the web. I don't know love. I'm not here because I want to be. I'm here because I have to be.
It's the same for all of us, I would say, but you're sure they say they're your family? That doesn't sound very familial.
Well, we all have secrets, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we really do. But thanks for telling me that.
Radian puts his hand in his pouch and he pulls out a deck of cards and shows them to Dolly. He says, I know that you don't trust me. And I know that I don't trust you. But I'm willing to try. This is the only thing that I know. It was with me when I woke up, and it will not leave me. It screams at me in the night. I don't know what it does, but I want you to know that when the time comes, something might happen. Please don't tell the others.
Calnus, you're hearing all of this.
And making mental notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can try.
Also, he puts his hand in his pack, and when, after he puts the cards back, he pulls out the daisy chain that you put in my pack 3 days ago. Gives it back and he goes, thank you.
Anytime.
Okay. Anyone else got anything they want to do before you settle down for the night?
I think during this whole conversation, I've been sitting there quietly carving a spoon.
Plus 10.
That's what I do. It's like my happy place.
Yeah,
It's
like
what
a
I
meditative
do.
thing.
Yeah. And just as this conversation ends, I think I look up and I try to make eye contact with Dolly.
Roll, roll perception, Dolly, see if you pick up on it.
17.
Yeah, you do. You see Calnus looking at you.
I just give her a little nod. And I go back to my carving.
I'm going to say in this time, Casper takes you and Delian over to this little gem in the wall, and he says, there's actually a very simple bit of magic. I'm not the one it flows from, but that's Juno here, but she at least gave me, if you like, keys to the city. And he puts your hand on it, and you now have attunement with that. So you can now make those bricks fade. Just you.
I guess while we're there then, I'm going to ask Casper if we can step outside
Okay.
so that I can close the bricks.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just going to say fade again and just hope they fade back in.
Yeah, so as you step out, they just sort of automatically reform.
Yeah.
So you and Casper are outside in the corridor. Can I ask everybody else to leave the table? Cool. So, Indelian, you and Casper, you gesture for Casper to accompany you outside. You step outside. The bricks reform behind you, and he looks at you with a sort of slightly quizzical, like a bear would.
It's always bears.
He looks
We
at
don't
you,
choose-
looks
we
at
do
you in
choose the
in a
bear.
kind of quizzical way.
When we entered the city, they said Grenwood was here on the council. Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's all been slightly chaotic with the council. So you would know, but for our listeners, for our viewers, the Council of Equals is essentially the government of Arun, rather than it being a sort of autocracy or anything like that. What happens is almost like aldermen, sort of tribal or political elders from various places are like mayors almost, are elected and then they serve for 5 years on the Council of Equals. They're all called advocates. And the high advocate is the sort of, if you like, minister in charge. And they serve 5-year terms and then they're replaced. So you never get the idea of people staying for too long. But Casper explains that there was a dwarf on the council, Rashid. And a month ago he went missing. And in lieu of an election, they drew lots from all the landowners across the land. Grenwood's was the name that was pulled. Rioder, I think. From Mouse, and Mouse is I mean, you know where Mouse is.
I'm very, very acquainted with Mouse.
And Mouse is a small town to the southeast, somewhere in a forest. No one knows anything about him yet. He's such a minor noble to family. People don't even know the family crest. They're still trying to work on his seal. But I hear we hear rumors that he's trying to make himself of use. He's trying to be useful, but he doesn't realize he's part of running the largest city in the world now. He's not running, 3 fields and a few sheep and a tanner's.
Yeah, getting involved with things he probably shouldn't. That's always been what he's been good at.
What do you know of Grenwood?
I know that he's probably out of his depth if he's here. The guards weren't the best pleased from what we heard about the changes he's making and the things he's doing, and the fact that the person was on the council before them's gone missing. I have some family in Mouse. It just makes me worry that if anything happens to him, it could be bad for those I know back in Mouse. It worries me that he's here.
Well, the only way to get him gone, I suppose, would either be to have him disgraced or to find wherever this Rashid is, if he's still alive.
And this shadow will flood. There's graffiti. It means nothing to you?
It means nothing to me. Roll me insight.
That is, for me, it's a 16.
You discern no lie. Him saying no, it means nothing to me comes very easily.
Do you know if any other members of the family are here? Or has he come alone?
There's a son. Don't know the name.
Yeah, there's a lot of sons.
Bit of a beefy lad. Bit dim.
Could still be any one of them. Haven't really broken it down, but there is a lot of sons.
Red hair.
You still haven't really broken it
Right,
down.
okay. I know,
Yeah,
I
it's
start to see the fly in the
it's
ointment.
definitely a trait from Mouse. Let's put it like that. Okay. As one member of the web to another, keep an eye on him.
I do my best to keep abreast of everything that happens with the council. Should anything out of the ordinary occur, I'll do my best to find you.
I appreciate it, Casper.
My pleasure. They did well tonight.
They did.
I fear they may have caused a little chaos, but it's hard to do these things cleanly, I find.
I'd say little chaos is probably what they do best.
You keep them on the right side of the line.
I don't think we have a line to be on the right side of.
Well, you can get in and out whenever you want now.
All right, let's give it a go. Fade.
And it fades.
And we walk back inside.
Great, okay. So,
We're back.
You watch as yeah. Oh my God, so we go back and you see Endelian and Casper, who've been figuring out the door mechanism, come back down into the space. Is there anything else anyone wants to do before a rest?
Witnessing Calnis whittling the spoon, I is just going to reach into his pouch, pull out the wooden spoon that he got in the kitchen, and just walk on over and just place it on the floor in front of him, and then just walk back over and sit down and just stare into the fire again.
Cal sees this. He's whittling his spoon. Little brother, is that for me?
I just nods,
It's a fine spoon.
and I just little smile.
I can see eyes.
Yeah.
That's a bit sad. So I'm gonna be like, "Aye, come here," and I'm gonna take him over to the wall. I'm gonna say, "Put your hand there," and then he's gonna put his hand on the wall. I'm gonna go.
And the wall disappears. What are you trying to make him think he did it?
Yeah.
Okay, roll me a deception check with advantage.
Okay.
It's adorable.
It's not too bad. It's an 11.
It's an 11. Okay. That might have been you.
Okay, all you get from I is just a, and then smile and just hand down and just looks up at Endelian and just
Pat him on the head. Say, go on, back you go.
you go.
You can
And
pull it
then
away
literally
from yourself.
I walks away and then just stops and walks back over, hand up, and
Oh.
just
Right, great. Roll me deception again.
14.
14, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it still might have been you know.
and just clenches a little claw and walks away.
Right. Anything?
One more thing.
One more thing. Absolutely. This is what it's
As everyone is bedding down, Radian tries to go to Dolly's pack and hide the deck of cards inside of her pack.
Roll me you can roll sleight of hand or stealth.
I'm going to roll stealth.
Okay.
16.
Calnis, you see in the kind of semi-darkness, the fire now down to its embers. You can hear the soft breathing of most of them sleeping. Casper sitting in a chair, upright. He's given over his bedroll to one of you. Juno's given over her bedroll. Goff is just sort of sitting in the corner, kind of sleeping against one of the shelves. You see the shadow and the edge of Radian approaching Dolly's pack.
Just watch.
And you watch as...
Radian pulls out this pouch that has this, well, you can't really see what it is, but it's a pouch. Inside is this deck of cards, and much like last time we witnessed this, it's really loud. Like Radian is almost flinching with how painful it is when he kind of holds it in his hand. It's
Roll me a perception check, Calnis.
25.
25. Radian is moving silently. And he holds the stack of cards, and he is reacting like the cards are hot or making noise or inflicting some pain on him. It's silent. There is no evidence of anything sensorial happening in the space, but Radian is reacting as if there is a great sensory provocation happening to him.
And he, I place them in the pack and almost like try and hold it tight, as if he's like holding on for dear life, as if to try to make it stop. Because he obviously can't control it and he thinks they're safer with someone else. And so he then kind of holds it, and then maybe the screaming stops for a moment and he steps away.
Okay. Steps away.
I just watch all of this. I've heard the conversation.
Yeah.
I've witnessed this.
That 17 on a passive perception will mean you see an awful lot of things that happen.
Yeah, and then Radian leaves and goes and goes to rest, meditate.
To trance, yeah.
To trance.
That's his 4-hour elven trance.
4 hours of elven trance.
Yeah, 4 hours of elven trance. It's only £5 on the door to get in. You bring your own drinks. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next morning you wake with the sounds of the market really starting up.
Long rest then.
Long rest. Long rest. Everyone gets everything back.
Give me my spells.
Wild
All
shapes,
18
spells,
hit points.
bardic
Yeah,
inspiration, lots of hit points, not very many hit points. You awake to the sound of the market. You can hear traders, you can hear call outs, you can hear like hand carts and people being like ferried along the road. It's even down in this windowless room. You can hear like the sounds of the city above. And as you wake, you see Casper sort of stretching himself, trying to work out some of the crunchiest bits from sleeping in a chair for a night. Medea is still not appeared. I
is already awake, and everyone, as you wake, you just see I is by the wall, confused as to why.
I crossing his legs, desperate for a piss.
But at least he's been trained to go outside.
Like you're ringing the little bell.
Yeah.
Okay, the day is yours.
Yeah. Radian is ready for the day, and goes, I think we need to talk. All of us, now.
Sure, sounds intriguing.
We were a little distracted yesterday. Yes, I know that was my fault, and I would like to apologize. For being a little rash.
A little. Okay.
I'm trying to be nice.
I'm not.
You are impulsive. It is dangerous.
What I'm saying is, I think we should just learn to work better as a team.
Agreed.
And I am saying that I am willing to work with you all as a team. I am sorry.
I goes up, just puts a little claw on as high as he can reach on Radian, and just smiles and then goes,
Who has got my cloak?
I think that's.
I think it's me, actually.
and he just pats
Who else is in the room?
Casper, Juno, and Doug. Doug. You're constantly there.
in the corner.
I think it's because the first time we went for those drinks, Doug wasn't there, and so I'm willing Doug to be in every room I'm in all the time. I'm so sorry. Casper, Juno, and Goff are in the room with you.
And also the concept of Doug.
Yes, but there's Doug in all of us. There's a Doug-shaped hole in all of us.
Maybe the real Goffs were the dogs.
Yeah. So the three of them are still there.
Are the, there's probably no chance of really having a
be very difficult to have
without them overhearing.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult. I mean, I think if the five of you created a huddle in the corner of a relatively small space and they all went, oh, okay, well, I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, Radiance says to Casper, can we have a moment, please?
Roll me a persuasion check.
It's his house.
Yeah.
12.
He looks at you. It's like he's trying to get a read on you. And then he looks at Dolly.
You know, knee grip teething problems.
All right, well, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Come on, you two. Much to do anyway. Important things. Web stuff.
Yeah.
Love web stuff.
We've all got web stuff to do.
He's going to go buy cosmetics or something.
Yeah, I'm going to get some concealer. They give you the room.
I know I've made impulsive plans recently, but may I offer a plan?
At least you're asking us this time.
Do you think we should go and see Grath?
Yes.
It's the only reason we're here anyway.
I does.
I'd rather do that before the web gives us something else to do. The devil makes work for idle thumbs in Baroon.
Lots happened in the last couple of days, but I think I want to know more about what happened.
Dolly, you seem to know your way around these streets. Do you know how we get there?
Where?
Grath's place.
So what you would know, those of you who've been here before, is that the three tiers of the city are sort of split along class lines to an extent. So you have the depths, which is heavy industry. A few people would live there, but really it would be, that was not what that area was created for. It was there to essentially keep the crap away from your people's lungs in a non-medical sense. And so you're kind of, in the broadest possible terms, you're working class, your labourers and your industrial workers, and you're sort of the people who are like mass-producing armour or mass-producing weapons. They would live in these sprawling towns that are outside the city walls. Then where you are at the moment, the deal, it would be artisans, and then the prime real estate in Baroon is always closest to the exterior walls because you get more light. So you'd have the estates of notable scribes, notable sort of low-level town officials, that sort of thing. Ombudsmans would have their, I just don't know what it means, but it's such a good collection of sounds, who would have their estates there. And then up in the crest, which is the very top, that is where there's this, I'm not sure, it's up to you whether the three of you would have been there. There's this kind of extraordinary suspended park with a lake in its centre. And then there are estates of the rich and powerful on sort of separate plazas that are accessed by walkways. And so it would stand to reason the Council of Equals, which is the government of Baroon, that is positioned up at the crest. The major religious sites would be positioned up there. So it stands to reason that Grath would be somewhere in the crest. And I also think that's more than reasonable that he would have told you.
Well, I assumed that when the note was given, there would be some level of direction of the place where it would be.
Yeah, so it's in the crest. You know, it's in the southwestern corner.
Great.
A member of the Antiqua would only be up in the crest. That's where they'd be. I don't know where exactly, but...
Are we happy to go there?
Yeah, I will say, before Indelian leaves, usually she has her hair, it's kind of half down. This time it is as pulled back and as far off her face as possible, and she wouldn't leave without her hood being up the entire time.
Okay.
Before we leave, I agree we must go to Grath. But there must be trust among us. Thank you, Radiant, for your effort. But I must ask you what it was you placed in Dolly's pack last night while she slept.
Pardon?
Dolly, look in your pack. Your things.
What?
Nothing there that you've not seen before. Nothing there you haven't put yourself.
Want to explain?
He's talking about this. Can we pull it out?
Yeah.
Radian pulls out a leather pouch, and within it is a deck of cards. For those at home, you can't see it. It's really soft, beautiful leather. And he throws it on the floor in front of everyone to see.
You put that in my bag?
Did you also remove it?
No.
Eye goes forward to it.
You touch it. Roll me a wisdom saving throw. Charisma saving throw. Sorry. Charisma saving throw.
It's a 3.
It's a 3. You take 1d4 psychic damage,
3.
and you hear whispers, voices.
Okay.
It's like
There's a pain that goes along with it?
yes, you hear these voices like an sudden explosion in your head. Describe how they manifest with you.
So it's like an unbearable sweetness, something that's too sweet or too strong or too powerful. And it's that tiny pain that goes almost at the back of your brain that you could, no matter how many pills you could possibly take, could never cure it. It's just so unbearable.
Does this continue as long as I touch it, or does it continue beyond?
No, it's the first. It happens the moment you touch it, and then you can that pain subsides, but you can hear the whispers while you're touching them. While you're touching,
And
you can hear the whispers.
as soon as I
Can't hear the whispers anymore.
Okay, so I drops to a knee and sort of struggles and then almost struggles to take his claw off it. And as he does, he has just sort of welled up eyes, and it's less a tear that kind of goes down in terms of sadness or anything. It's just the pain has just forced that much liquid into his eyes that quickly, and he just sort of steps back away from it.
Yeah.
And that little eye twitch is back.
Anyone else want to go?
Little brother, what did you feel?
And I looks at Radian and says, "You hear them?"
Raiden, you hear them all the time the bag is out. So you can hear them now without
I'm
touching.
hearing them right now.
Who is they?
I don't know.
Where is they?
I don't know.
What's in the bag?
They're cards. I looked at them once. Tried to. The pain was too much. I don't know what it is, but it calls to me. I don't know if it's good or I don't know if it's bad, but I know that it's something. I feel like I need to share this with you because this is not why I am like this. But it scares me. And I feel like if we're going to trust each other, this has to be our problem.
Can you show us?
Yes.
Out of character, I touch the bag.
Either me, not the character.
Finally happened!
It was right there, Alex.
So
Bing!
Radiant very, very slowly, and the voices, they're not great as he gets closer and closer to opening it. And this is what he kind of tries to avoid. So he pulls the drawstring.
Getting louder in your head, louder in your head. You can't hear them. only in Radiant's head, getting louder and louder. And then as the bag is opened, it's like that noise is redoubled. It's like opening the window to a swarm of bees. It's like the buzzing is, that whispering, that noise is suddenly flooding towards you in a different way.
And he pulls them out. And it's like you can see it on his face, like the gnarledness of it, like his teeth are kind of like gnashing when he pulls it, and he just holds these cards like that and just holds them up. And then you can kind of all see them.
So they have this kind of gold, this sort of shimmering gold pattern on them. And then at the center there's a geometric shape. And as you look at the back of the cards, there are twisting, everyone roll me investigation check. And can I also look at the cards to make sure I'm getting this absolutely right?
Fuck.
Yeah. Dolly?
Natural one.
Natural one.
19.
19 from I. Kelnis? 19 from Kelnis.
I hate magic, it's a 3.
It's a 3.
25.
A 25, right. Well, the 25 and the 2 19s, you see the shapes of black water, of twisting vines, and pattern of mountains. And with a 25, you recall those same images being carved into the walls of the chamber where you heard the orbs. Or in fact, it was the chamber before that. As you were going towards the chamber where the orbs were at the top of Mount Atria, you had this sort of area you passed through like a vestibule, and it had these same patterns.
I think these are connected. To us, to everything. And I know that this is way above our pay grade, but these things do not leave me. I bury them, I throw them away, I place them in your pack, and they come back to me every single time.
These came to you when you awoke.
They come to me all the time. I have buried them miles away from me. I have tried to burn them. I have tried to do everything, and it is impossible.
The voices you hear, they're the same voices we heard when we touched the orb?
It is impossible to discern what these voices are. There are too many of them.
What is on them?
I don't know. I've never looked. And I won't.
Put them away.
Gladly.
And you put them back in the pouch, and at the moment that you put them in the pouch and you close the drawstring, that swarm of bees is, back behind glass, and then it starts to fade even in your head, but it's still present while you look at the pouch. And put them back in your pack.
Yep.
And the whispering stops.
It appears that we are bound by more than fate.
Yeah, it would seem so.
We? Are we?
Fine, if it's not faith and it's trust, it has to be something.
You're bold to talk about trust.
I just shared with you something that I have never shared with anyone. It'd be interesting if you did the same.
We going?
Yeah, I think that's enough sharing and caring for one morning.
You leave the apothecary, and Indelian at the front.
Aye, go on.
And I steps forward, and just before putting his little scaly claws on, just goes, "Watch this."
Okay, deception.
It's fine, it's 13.
It's a 13. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know what it like. Was it the angle of your hand? Was it maybe it's like a time thing? Maybe you can only do it between in working hours, like certain hours. I don't know, but it's like you've had a good rest.
Yep.
Maybe you need to be with someone else. Maybe you need Indelian to be near you. But it's good. It's good. You feel good about it.
Does Kelnis see it though?
Deception,
see.
not
I think I
stealth.
must see this.
Yeah.
Oh, I must see it. And
Yeah, go on with a passive
I
perception.
just see, I
Even then
I
he'd
see
be
Indelian
like,
do it, and
sees it all.
I look at her and I giggle.
Yeah, we're in it together. It's
I
fine.
hears Kelnis giggle and thinks it's because he
thinks he did magic.
Yeah, and I turns around and looks at him and goes,
And the stone fades, and Casper and Goff and Juno are kind of leaning on the rest of the wall, looking at you as you come out of the space. And a few glum faces. Trouble in paradise.
Don't worry, we're best friends now.
I'm sure you are. Nothing that can't be remedied by a day in the Barun winter.
I shake Casper's hand. I offer to shake Casper's hand.
He extends a hand to you.
I say thank you for your hospitality. We may return.
I may be forced to call on you again.
The gods bless the time price.
If only we knew, eh? How different things could be. And you make your way towards the crest. And to get to the crest, you have to go to one of 4 great staircases. You are aware that Graunoth is in the east or the sort of southeast area. So southwest area. I do apologise. So whether you're going to the southern or the easternmost, it kind of mechanically makes very little difference. But what you find is a staircase which is set inside one of the towers which supports the upper levels of the city. And as you walk into this staircase, the clear winter skies, the staircase is flooded with light, coloured light. And there's these stained glass windows in purples and reds, rich blues and greens that flood this space. And the stairs themselves are laid with mosaics, brightly coloured, and it's like a great azure river is flowing down these steps. And as you reach the top of the stairs, you walk into this small round plaza. And what you can take in straight away is at the edge of the district are these great estates, these almost quarters, if you want to think about it like that, although not necessarily mathematically, literally quarters, on which multiple buildings are either constructed or still being constructed. One of the things that hits you is there's a lot of building work going on up here on the crest. It stands to reason that as the top level of the city, they've got to it a little later than everything else. And some of these structures, as incomplete as they are 4-5 stories high, that are going to give these commanding views. And in fact, you can see almost as far as the peak of Atria, barely a sort of like smudge on the horizon, but you can almost see that far. And there are these marble-clad walkways that connect these various quarters, and at the center there is a huge, lush green park and a lake at its center. But as I say, most of the crest is still kind of under construction, really. And you make your way towards where you've been told Graunoth will be. And his estate sits at the southwestern edge of the city. It's a single-story dwelling of pale stone, surrounded by walls and a gatehouse. And this residence is the only completed building on this particular plaza. It sits at the end of a row. There are 5 others, which are all encased in scaffolding and in various stages of completion. And there are teams of labourers and artisans, masons, carpenters, that they're all milling around these building sites. And the gates are sort of bar gates rather than the heavy wooden doors of the jail. And you see, and you can sort of see through the gate to a courtyard beyond.
Is there anyone by the gate? Is it?
As you approach, you see a figure that seems to have clocked you as you get closer to the gate. And it's this dwarf dressed in plate armor. Big, muscly dwarf. She has her hair tied back in these thick black plaits, and her forearms and her shoulders are knotted with muscle. She has these dark, hazel eyes. And she looks at the five of you as you approach, says, "What is it I can do for you?"
What's your name?
I think yours are more relevant in moments such as this.
We're guests.
I steps forward, puts a hand on Radiant.
And says, "Fade."
Damn, that's good.
And just kind of looks up with a kind of a look as if to say, "We just talked about this."
And Radiant recognizes this,
Unlike last time.
nods, and steps back.
And I looks up forward and goes,
Eye is eye.
We received word to expect you. Took a little more time than we had anticipated. And she calls for the gates to be open. That is where we will take a little break.
Hello again. It's Ben Starr here, award-winning actor, all-round beautiful boy, and a child whose Year 3 class report simply said he won't sit still. Why won't he sit still? Will please someone make him sit still. But it's that same refusal to accept the depressing reality of a stationary childhood, along with a tidal wave of charisma, talent, and good looks, and whatever you've chosen to do with your life, that's led us here. To this moment. Me staring at you, staring back at me, pleading at you to help fund our D&D show. The one you're literally watching or listening to right now for free. Because what we need right now is not your love, although we like it, and not your likes, although we love it. What we need is money, cash, readies, wonga, doubloons, wedge, stacks, moolah yummy 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 money. But how? Well, Patreon, of course. But what do you get? Well, I'll tell you what you don't get. Any more of these annoying but slightly hilarious ads. Stop crying. You're fine. Well, what you do get are things like this. You get Indelian's diary, in which Hollie every single episode breaks down what happened with her meticulously annotated notebook. It's basically what would happen if Regina George and Dora the Explorer wrote everything they did down when they decided to carry the ring to Mordor. You also get Clark's The Broken Pebble, an audio drama written and performed by me in which I play Clark's, the useless hobgoblin wizard, assisted by a very small, aggressive, dangerous magical fish. There's also the monthly AMA in which we answer your burning questions from the Discord. Also, you get Action Surge right away, so you don't have to wait a week to find out what we all thought about the episode. And most importantly, you get absolutely everything ad-free. So, sign up for the Patreon now and you can finally shut me up so you don't have to listen to things like this. Snowboard! What's it? So if any of this interests you, and even if it doesn't, please give us money. These clothes are expensive. I'll come round to your house and I'll stroke your head. Look at my beautiful face. My stunning, smouldering, ever so slightly cheeky, angular face. I'm so relatable and fun. Listen to me laugh. It's so kind of cute, you know? I could laugh big, but I laugh small for you because this is an intimate moment. So what do you say? Me, you, some baths, some skiing, some hog wrestling, Tesco's. Come on.
We're back. So, you are taken in through the gates into a courtyard which leads to this small, humble, single-story building. Which is Grawnoth's residence. And you're led in through these double doors, this set of golden scales, much like the ones you saw tarnished and twisted in Ulin's tower, is embossed into the floor. And there's a small wooden font with a foot pedal, again, the type that you saw. And Brynhilda turns to the five of you and says, I will take you to see him. He is very tired. She leads you through a doorway and then into a study, which is full of scrolls and books and a chair that was once black leather, but has been patched and repaired innumerable times, so it's more patches than it is anything else at this point, and an ancient-looking desk carved from a single piece of wood, broad, spilled ink, again speaking to centuries, maybe even millennia of use. And then a curtain beyond. And Brynhilde opens this curtain, and at the far end of the space is a window which looks out towards the sky and towards Reliquiae beyond. And the drapes are half closed. And there's a great 4-poster bed, and sat in that bed, propped up on pillows, is Grath. And there's dust hanging in sunbeams as it comes through the window, and there is a sense of stillness in the air. Smell of beeswax and pine needles and fresh linen. And before him on the bed are strewn papers, a quill and ink on a bed table beside him. And as you look at Grath, he's changed. The piercing blue of his eyes has faded almost to grey. His hair and beard are white and thinning. And he raises a hand in greeting to you, and you see his fingers are crooked, arthritic. His knuckles are swollen, his cheeks have thinned. His eyes are ringed with red. And when he breathes in, you can hear this breath ragged in his chest. And Brynhilde, and you notice she almost doesn't want to spend too long looking at the figure in the bed. She says, they have come as you said they would. I will leave you to your discussions. I will be just beyond you. Call for me if you need me. And she looks at Grath for the first time, and he gives her a smile. Of course. Thank you. And she goes back through the curtain. She says, and Grath looks at you and tries to adjust himself, prop himself up a little bit more in the bed. He says, you came. I'm glad to see you free from the mountain. Your journey here was long.
Not as long as you're making it look.
The magic. It was hard to return. Took more from me than some, less than others, but there is much to tell.
You're dying.
I'm dying. We're all dying.
Your colleague tried to kill us.
And his eyes...
Reaches into his pouch.
Yeah. Pulls out the scroll. It's a sod to get out.
Pulls out, keeping hold of the...
Yeah.
Just the scroll.
Like a magpie.
Yeah. Yeah. So you pull out the letter.
And hands it.
To Grath. And Grath opens the letter from Barabask, the letter in which she instructed Jasmine to kill you. And his eyes, sunken as they are, widen. And he says, I could not have believed that he would do something like this.
Out of the realms of possibility, but Jasmine saw sense. I suppose that's all that matters at the moment.
She has more wisdom than her antiqua. I hope it serves her well. You are unharmed.
Jasmine had a go, but we've made it this far. We're okay.
I'm sorry. And gestures to the letter, which he places among the many papers on the bedclothes. I did not know. I would have done something had I known. You can see that every word is hard for him.
I start gonna look around for a glass of water or something to give
Yeah,
him.
you find a glass of water. Give him he takes it, thanks you. Needs his hands shake a little, but he brings the glass to his lips and manages to sip from it. Thank you.
How long do you have left?
That is hard to say. My strength, my powers are fading today. Is bad. Perhaps tomorrow will be a little better.
Forgive me for not standing on ceremony, but this might be the last time we can talk to you.
Of course.
You have to tell us everything.
We need to start at the very beginning. The virtuous were not victorious. There was a truce called. Long ago, in Sentiasa, in the plain before, which was always and endless and plentiful, the gods, first the vile, and then the others, so that foot soldiers could turn the tide of the conflict, and so they began to create and to breed. And this is how we find ourselves here. But as they created, the gods, all of them, realized that their own power was contained within those they bred. And as they multiplied and spread and fought and died and were renewed, so the power of the gods faded. And there came a time that they saw that the power of mortality combined was greater than the power of those gods. And so it was agreed that the plains would be split, barriers placed between them so that mortality could not ever unite under one banner and destroy those who brought them into being. The virtuous created reliquiae, the wild, the Feywild, and the vile, the Shadowfell. The tree beyond, I have no doubt you would have seen it. Feywild. Beyond further, the Shadowfell.
Reliquia is a lie.
Reliquia is not a lie. It is as real as you are. The endless peace, now, that is a more interesting semantic question. The endless pause.
The truce is clearly over.
So it would appear.
Why?
He reaches out a hand to you, and he says, I cannot answer every question. You will find no one who can answer every question.
Do you know who is the child?
And he looks at you, the child.
I think maybe Indelian then goes on to actually explain what I is talking about. And
So what do you explain?
I would explain about the orbs.
Everything. You explain the orbs.
And what we heard.
And what you heard. I know nothing of a child. Whose voice Who of the virtuous did you hear? Who said, my son?
How could we know?
We do not know.
It would explain. A 100 years ago, the gods began to fade the virtuous faster than before. They decided when they created reliquiae that their penance for the crimes they had committed upon their people was that they would allow them to flourish uninhibited, knowing they would one day fade themselves as their power was diminished by those they brought into being. They made Alvelion an open city. They trained. They knew that their absence would come, and they wanted those people to flourish. And then, perhaps 100 years ago, there was a sudden change in them, a weakening almost overnight. It was then they abandoned Alvelion, seeing their condition. They did not want their people to fear the weakening of their gods, and so they made their home in Atria. We started the deference so that only we could see them, we could speak with them, understand their teachings, but that no fear, no panic would grip the people. Perhaps it is this child. Perhaps the child is a demigod.
Why are you telling us all this?
Because you were there. Because we do not have much time to speak, to tell the others the truth. Something is coming. I will soon fade. All will be lost. And for all of the faults of the virtuous, they wished their people to live.
Why did they suspect mortality would move against them?
They felt the diminishing of their power. They feared it. They are gods. They are not immune from fear.
What would you have us do?
When I regain my strength, I will tell the council. This cannot be a secret. I wish for the people, not only of Barun, but of Reliquiate, to know. This is a land of peace. It is not prepared for war. The cities have no armies, they have town guards. I do not know what will follow. Everyone must do what they must, what they can, to prepare, so that we are not caught in the night, as it were.
The shadow will flood. That's what was written on the mural. In the woods, we met people. Exactly what happened in the orbs. They know something. It's connected.
Who do you mean they know something?
These people, these beings, I don't know what, a cult of some sort.
So you tell them about the people in the forest?
Yeah.
You still have the mask on you. Show the mask.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you show him the mask.
Thank you, Andy. That was really fantastic, fantastic.
I knew you had it, so it's fine. I didn't.
Well, oh no, wait, did we know he had it?
Yeah, everyone knows. I mean,
Well,
showed
he
it.
showed
Oh,
it.
of course you
Showed
did,
it to,
yeah.
Marcus.
Shadow can only be the vile.
But how do people know this is a secret?
Again, you reached You reached the Alanites around my knowledge. You reached the edge.
You knows. Genevieve knows. Antiqua knows. So these,
That eye points at the mask.
how they knows, must be how you knows.
Perhaps.
Does you trust all Antiqua?
No. All that are left, no.
Who have you lost?
Danilo fell. So Danilo was the halfling. Before we left the festival, he faded faster than the others.
What happened at the festival?
We kept up the act for now. Danilo was the first to fade. There were those among us who could still give teachings.
Who?
Barabask was one.
I does not know how to write. Someone's right.
Runa,
Arabask Runa.
Genevieve, Calvilius, and myself. I am changed in these past 3 days.
Shows him the other.
Radiant pulls out the deck of cards.
My back up against the wall.
And he pulls out the deck of cards and goes and just passes them to Gronoth. Places them on his body, on the thing, and puts that almost like between his legs, you know.
He looks at you, reaches out, touches the bag. No reaction. He says, whispers, and opens the bag, removes cards. Do not know these.
The markings on the bag.
As the markings in the chamber. Yes.
They follow me everywhere.
He shuts his eyes, and he seems to focus on the deck. He puts it back in the pouch, firmly closes the drawstring, and holds it out for you, his arms shaking slightly. He says, there is great magic here. They are bound to you, I would suggest.
Radiant takes it back. And just puts it away. What he does.
Where is Genevieve?
She would, I think, have returned to Coressian. Coressian is the human capital, the first city that humans founded. She and the others know of my intention to inform the council. They were not best pleased.
Again tells us where to find all of them.
All of the Antiqua.
Those who is left.
And he tells you that Parvus would have gone to the sanctum along with Parvus would have gone to the Sanctum. The Sanctum is a tower on an island, which is the sort of seat of Dragonborn power. Dragonborn are much smaller race in terms of their kind of size. There aren't that many of them. So Parvus would have gone with Carvilius to the Sanctum. He tells you that Runa would have returned to Brack. Most of them would go to their own capitals. Malachine to Vale, Ristrin, Arbuthnot to Ponvin, so the gnome to Ponvin. Barabask would have returned to Escalon, the elf. Who else? Genevieve to Coressian, Parvus, Carvilius, Malachine, Runa, Arbuthnot. I believe that's all of them.
So they're everywhere, in other words.
They've gone essentially to their own capitals. Obviously, Danilo has died. Danilo is not going anywhere. And both Carvilius and Parvus would be at the Sanctum.
And they're dying, like you.
Faster or slower, I cannot tell. But we made a pact with the virtuous, the 9 of us, when the world was made anew, that our life would be bound to that of theirs.
What would you have us do?
You cannot save the world alone, I would have you know. I tell you because you insisted you be told. You asked me for truth, I gave it to you. You cannot hold back a tide alone. But you had a right to know. Many more will be told. You were the first to see. It was right to me that you were the first to know.
We're tied to this. We're going to be alone, we're underpowered, and you are going to die. We need your help.
What help can I offer you?
Something. Give us something.
Anyone?
When will you tell the council?
And I have recovered my strength. A few days. That is my plan. I do not wish to present myself to them like this. I cannot bring the council all into my bedchamber, and I do not have the strength now to make my way there alone. But Brynhilde is here, my guard is with me.
But as you know, you will recover your strength.
I suppose I do not. I've been alive a long time. I think I can make it a few more days.
Let us tell the council.
The leader of the council isn't exactly a worldly person.
The leader of the council, you would know, is an orc called Trusk, which is also a name that you heard in the woods. You were talking about wanting to bleed someone called Trusk.
We is the living in Reliquie. What does you know of the living beyond?
We are created in the image of our gods. They would have been the same. I cannot pretend to have journeyed beyond the Alanites.
What does you know of the wild, the vile?
They are as their names suggest. They are the stories I was raised on. That is the truth I have been told. For all their flaws, I do not believe that the virtuous were wicked. I believe in the truth of Ullin. I believe in the, I long to call it friendship, but kinship that we had. 1,000 years is a long time to live. We had many conversations.
We know the council's already under threat. We know that these people are out there. They're threatening the council. They threaten Baroon. The shadow will flood. What if we go to the council?
If the council listen to us, who are we?
With your blessing, they might listen to us.
You could try.
And what would they do?
Prepare themselves. Knowledge is better than ignorance.
I think we should investigate the cult. Gain more knowledge. We know nothing of what they intend.
We do know something of what they intend. We know they were planning on paying the council a visit.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, plan is still intact.
We goes to the council,
We need to warn them.
as we not needs more.
Do we want the council or just Trusk? It is Trusk. They said they wished to bleed.
No, they wanted to bleed all of them.
Send us as your ambassadors. Representatives of you. You're too ill, you're too weak, but give us some sort of letter, some sort of proof.
You are impulsive.
I told him that.
You worry me. He again leans towards you. He says, I fear a council chamber is not a place in which you would thrive. It is not a time for hot heads and fast words. It is a time for calm reflection. You have shown me many things, bravery, tenacity. You have not shown me that. I will send you, but you cannot speak on impulse. Not always.
Are you sending us or not?
You're making it harder for me to do so. You are.
Fine. My friends, anyone want to speak up?
Yeah. Stop. We can wait a couple of days.
He is dying. He will be dead in
He is in the room.
Yeah.
He is right here.
I'm actually thinking.
I step forward. I say, Gronoff, as a druid of the circle of the wildfire, please accept my promise that we will do what we can to stop this happening.
Whether we...
Just a kind of gentle smile. In a dark world, words like that give comfort. And then he looks at you, Dolly.
I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody. But a council needs to be warned about a plot to move against them. That should be our first priority right now.
I thinks we needs to get the masks and cloaks back. I thinks if a plot is being made against the council, it could be very helpful.
As you say that, he looks at you, and he says, I do not believe it was themselves. I know you do not either.
I looks around at the others, trying to gauge a sense of how they respond.
Okay,
To this.
roll insight.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. What's everyone feeling about this particular issue? About themselves and their guilt or innocence regarding the death of the other gods? Radiant? And it's okay to say you don't have an opinion
No,
on it.
really, yeah.
Mm.
Just, I would say right now also, Radiant's probably in a bit of a sulk. He's kind of just checking out a little bit. So.
Mm-hmm. And Delian?
I don't think Endelian would know enough to make a decision, but I think Endelian would know that you had been upset by it. So you just sort of get a reassuring smile and a nod that, like, if you believe it, I believe it. That's, support.
Kelnis?
I don't know if this plays into it terribly well, but Kelnis is proficient in religion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is of a generally trusting nature and believes that Gronoff would not say what he has said unless he believed it to be true. So Kelnis looks at I, nods. Little brother, I have no words. I believe what Gronoff says to be true. It gives him a little pat on the shoulder.
And Dolly?
Self-preservation is probably what Dolly understands more than anything else. Probably thinks that if themself wasn't there, wasn't present, it's not indicative of innocence or guilt. It's just what had to happen at the time. But there's no judgment attached to that.
So you pick up on that, and obviously Kelnis says what he says.
I looks back at Gronoff and says, I will find themselves.
And then Gronoff says to you, the old dark. Now you would know, the old dark is the place where kobolds are thought to have come into being. Because kobolds never write anything down. There are versions of the story where it's a real place, and there are versions of the story where it's a metaphor, where it's just an idea. Which version have you grown up with?
I'm going to say the real.
Harvest. Harvest knows.
I will find Parvus. I will find themselves.
Well. And then Gronoff leans back on his pillows, and you can see that he's tired. And he says, You may go to the council should you wish. Looks at you, Radiant. We need to trust one another.
If you don't trust me, trust my friends.
You are brave. Goes a long way. Remember my words. We may not share many others.
I think with this, Kelnis approaches Radiant, places his hand on his shoulder gently, non-threateningly, and says, my friend, trust is being earned.
Thank you for helping us.
You earned it. And the world deserves it. And then he shuts his eyes in sleep. And kind of sinks back into his pillows a little.
I think we need to talk.
I think we need to talk.
Then we should leave him to sleep.
So you'll sit on the end of the bed. Kids on Christmas morning.
Your eye slides up into the bed.
And I just like in the hammock moment just goes to radio. Go.
Okay.
So not getting into his bed.
Leave him.
So you leave him. You go back through the curtain, and Brynhilda is there. Brynhilda has been party to this and has heard this. And she looks at you and says, "He is weak today, but tomorrow I will. May well.
I reaches and puts a claw just resting on her and then says, "Is there one in the antiqua you does not trust?"
Arabusk. Like instantly.
We need a conversation.
Okay. So you're now essentially in Gronoth's study. You can stay within Gronoth's residence, or you can head out to wherever you want to be.
I think for our conversation here makes us much sense as going anywhere.
So
I'm
you,
sure it's tavern talk.
yeah. Go to the park.
One hell of an NDA to break.
In the study, Radiant's just kind of pacing up and down, like from one end of the room, just up and down, not talking to anyone, not looking at anyone, just thinking very loudly, almost like he wants someone to ask him what he's thinking.
Absolutely not going to ask.
I'll ignore him.
It's the please look at me, I'm doing nothing walk.
Yeah.
Kind of touching things.
I know it well from my stage career.
Yeah.
God, doesn't he walk in it?
He's walking for the back row.
Keep the intimacy of the walk for those in the front, but reach the back.
It's very much, it's that and readiness how to do it very, very well.
I'm going to sit very carefully in the patchy chair.
It is the comfiest chair you've
yeah,
ever
it's gotta
sat
be,
in.
it's gotta be.
It's incredible. You are much slighter than Gronoth and shorter, but it's a good chair. It's good leather. Even the patches are good leather. And there's that smell, that kind of little sort of creaky crunch as you first sit back into it. It is, you immediately know why he hasn't thrown it away into a different chair. It was a chair made in a different age, when they made real things that lasted. All these flat
Woven
back
made
chairs.
As I see it, we have several choices. Several things we must consider. We must speak to the council, or at least to Trusk. And we must find out more about this cult. And what they intend. And why.
I agree on the first half.
You do not think the cult important?
It's not that I don't think they're important. It's that it's a lot of danger to be walking into with no direction.
It's also dangerous to walk this other path, knowing little of them.
Is no one going to ask me what I'm thinking? No? Fine. He goes back to walking.
No satisfaction. I'm not giving you a satisfaction. Starting with the council would be the easiest thing. We're already in the city, and with Gornoth's name attached to it, I suppose getting in front of them or some kind of message to them would probably be the easiest thing we have in front of us.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that much. If there's going to be a slaughter happen, we may as well try and stem that tide.
This inn we went to, this inn where we met the web in Barun, could also be a an inn for other sorts of peoples.
It's a big city. There's places for all kinds of people. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
I do wonder if the web has more information.
Of course it does. It's the web.
They wouldn't tell us anything.
Of course they wouldn't. It's the web.
Unless it's in their interest too.
And that's a definite hard no.
I do not think that the web is involved in the cult activities.
I'm inclined to think the same.
Yeah, I don't think it's involved.
How would we know? I say we deal with what we do know right now and think about the rest later. Radiant, for God's sake, stop pacing and just say what it is that you're thinking.
Oh, thank you. We go to the council. We tell them what we know. It gives us currency. This is dangerous information that not many people know, but also people will want to know. We're very convincing. You're very convincing.
It can be.
You know this city better than we do. You know people in it. You know the way that this works. We have Gronos backing. We can do something.
I would say Endelian and Kelnis have also been here. Dolly has been here a lot, but Endelian and Kelnis also know this city. So at least the three of them know the city.
Great.
I think that Kelnis... Kelnis remembers the conversation he overheard in the night between Dolly and Radian. And he looks at Dolly and he says, I know that you are able to see what others cannot. Perhaps you should speak for us at the council, or at least initially to Trusk. If we can get him on our side,
That's not my usual audience.
give him what he needs.
It's not what I do. You don't know what I can do.
What is it you can do?
Nothing good.
Now, how about we change that? We all trust each other after all. This is an opportunity. You can speak for us. Clearly, we're not very good at speaking to people. He can barely string a sentence together.
I just...
You're doing really well as your second language.
And you're just grumpy all the time.
Cheap coming from you.
I think I've taken enough licks today, thank you.
Heads and fast words.
Okay. Think of all of us, Dolly. You may well be best placed to at least ask the questions.
Go before the council. Tell them what we know.
Fine.
Gives the mask.
Go as Pamela.
It's your red One Piece moment.
Busts open the door, Aragorn style, but like slow man. Everyone else in normal time going,
In normal
"How is
time,
she
in normal
doing
clothes,
that?"
walking, overtakes Dolly. It's not an in-camera effect. It's just her going
Swishing.
Yeah, pulls out the mask, throws him to her.
We'll be right behind.
We speak of trust.
So you is Pamela?
Had a lot of names.
Pamela is nice.
We speak of trust. We trust you.
Has to be earned.
You said friends in there. Friends is not tribe. Friends can be like a tribe.
To the council, then.
To the council.
I'm going to say before you go to the council, what you would do is you would get a kind of missive from Grornoth.
Yeah.
Which would say something along the lines of, Grornoth, antiqua of the virtuous Ullin, declare that these 5 speak with my voice, and they speak in my name, and what they bring to you is the truth, as the goddess commanded.
Pamela, radiant.
And also you would know, you would all know this, but I think I probably said it before, Ullin is goddess of truth. Mm-hmm. Or she was goddess of truth. So Grornoth's name, Ullin's name, would carry much more weight in these situations than, for example, Malachine's name. So you want to make your way to the council.
Who's on the council?
So here are the people who, I would say, over the course of... The council have been in session for about 2 years. So you would, those of you who've travelled widely, so certainly the 3 of you, would know who's on the council. And this is the way the council works. The council are nominated by tribal, geographical, or even sometimes racial groups to represent them, almost like an alderman, like an elder. And they sit for 5 years. There are 10 of them, and there's they're all called advocates, and there's a high advocate, who in this case is Trusk Moore, who, she's an orc, and she sort of has the final word in dealings with, in the case of a tie, she would have the deciding vote. And they, as I say, they sit for 5 years. We're about 2 years in. So here are the people that you would be aware of being part of this, if you're of a mind to do so. And I can might have to WhatsApp these to you because there's a lot of them. So
glossary.
Trusk Moore is a female orc. Then you have Ilian Dakar, who is an elf. She's the mother of Alea Dakar.
If she can dance.
And if you're curious about this, back home, go back and watch session 0 and 0.5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Or read the glossary.
Yeah, or read the glossary.
Or do both.
Ilian Dakar.
Ilian Dakar, yeah.
Is she female human?
Female elf.
We met her.
You didn't meet Ilian
No.
Dakar. Then there is Eleonora Obsidian, who is a half-elf.
That's a really cool name.
Yeah.
Cool name.
That's a really cool name.
Trix Elodie, she is a tiefling.
Yeah, good.
Malin Nightseer, she is a dwarf. Mirmath Ferenuval, he is a dragonborn.
Not writing that down.
No, that's
Sorry, yeah. Just like dragon.
Mirmath Ferenuval, who is a dragonborn.
MF.
Ezra Silverkin II is a human.
Ooh.
Stygian Umber is a halfling. He is a halfling. And Thaddeus Talbot, he is a gnome. And Rashid Verden, who is a dwarf. Unless Kel, would it? So honestly, speaking in character, would it have occurred to any of you to ask in downtime about the state of the council with Casper?
Probably not.
Right. Cool.
Perhaps we should, though.
I can't even. Is that a whiff of metagaming? It was so subtle, so hard to detect.
Smells a little like burnt paprika.
What an extraordinary stealth check you pulled on me there. Casper's there, says, "What do you want to know, guys?"
He pops out from behind
Yeah,
the crane.
yeah. I can tell you everything you need to know. So that's what you know.
Yeah.
And you're given this letter. And you make your way towards the Council of Equals, which is this Allow me to adjustment.
Do we even, are they just always in session?
They wouldn't always be in session, but they would probably be within their chambers. They might be in session, and you can make requests of them.
Sometimes they're just jamming.
Sometimes they're just jamming.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're
So we could just...
yeah, they take requests like like quite often it's just like a 4-hour elven trance. they do, as I say, fiver on the door, bring your own drinks. You hear, so you're drawn to the sound of heavy bass reverberating through the marble.
So when we were back in the woods, we heard something about Trusk being bled dry. We know that there's some sort of pressure on that. I think Radian would suggest a course of action, which is we seek an audience with Trusk and we present the letter, but we do not tell her what we know. We use it as a bargaining chip to say that we need to know more about this council and what is going on.
Well, the letter doesn't say anything. The letter is just permission to go to the council. So he's not written.
No, but it says we have value as people. It says we know something.
Perhaps. So are we in game? We are in game.
Yeah.
Of course we are. Perhaps we should approach Trusk with a warning. What we know from those we encountered in the woods.
But they're not going to take us seriously if we don't show her the letter. We use that to get in. Then we serve the warning. Earn her trust.
The letter that we showed to Grath.
Yeah, Gornoth's letter. Earn their trust. Earn her trust. See where we go.
So are you saying that you want to take the letter that Barabbas?
No.
Right,
I
okay.
think so.
No. Gornoth's
Yep,
note.
just checking, because I think you were briefly talking about two different things.
The gods does not know these masks. These people move in shadows. It'll be hard for them to move in shadows if everyone knows mask.
The least we can do is give them a heads up that they're coming. So I say that's what we do.
Okay. So you start to make your way towards the true north of the city.
I'm always looking for taco stands.
Okay. Roll me.
Such a hungry boy.
Yeah. Roll me perception.
It's a natural one.
It's a natural one. Not
Plus
only
7, but-
you see. Okay. Worse than a taco, you can see. Worse than no taco stands is you see an out of business taco stand. That like tacos, they tried to launch tacos, they didn't take. Like Baroon not ready for like they couldn't. It was just tacos weren't as much of a thing in Baroon, and so people kept tipping the taco and everything would fall out. And because they're quite kind of. They're the poshos. They were very unhappy about it. There were a lot of garments that were stained. They were taking them to enchanted cleaners. Even the cleaners couldn't get the stains out. And so they just decided that, you know what, it was a noble experiment, but no more tacos in Baroon. I'm afraid you will never be able to find a taco stand.
Burrito
in
bowls,
Baroon.
but not tacos.
Burrito bowls, but not tacos.
Corn dogs.
No corn dogs. With a nat one, everything you say is not there.
Stop saying things. Helmus is just such a fan of street food. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best way to connect with a culture.
Refined palate. The thing I was discussing with Casper, how is that? I mean, the council, that...
You know who's on the council.
It just feels like a minefield for someone to walk into. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're walking into it now, so
Yeah.
you can say at any point.
So you approach this circular plaza, which has high walls surrounding it and gates, and you can see within this plaza there is a building with a great steeple And this steeple towers above every other structure of the crest, the 4 5-story buildings. And it's clad in silver. It catches the winter sun and it's twinkling the top of this steeple, visible, you would expect on a clear day, for miles. And these gates are guarded by soldiers in full plate, pikes in hand, helmets that regard you with unwavering attention as you start to approach these gates that lead to the council chambers. Who's going first?
I assume I have the letter.
You have the letter.
I'm going to approach these guys and be like, we're here for an audience.
I'm right there with her. I'm right beside her.
I'm just have a hand on Radiant.
We're here for an audience representing Grath, the antiqua.
Full face visor, a gloved hand, like fully armored gloves. I mean, there's this clanking as with every movement. Pull the letter through the bars of the gate. You can see them lift up the thing, read it. Hand the letter back to you. And you hear a voice from within the muffled visor say, all weapons, all packs, everything you leave with us.
Surely you would not separate a druid from
He says, I've seen the film. Yeah, I mean, you get the vibe that you ain't going in there with anything that can cause damage to these people. And as you start to hand things over, the gates are opened.
I just holds up the hinges and go,
You're fine with the hinge. No, one second thoughts.
I really don't want to part with the dagger.
Okay, you can try and roll.
Sword, yes.
Okay, you can try and roll me. Are you trying to sneak it in?
I just don't want to part from it.
Okay, there's a version of it where they see that you've got it and you refuse to give it over, or there is a version where you try and sneak it past them.
I'm going to try and sneak it past.
Okay, roll me a sleight of hand check to conceal it about your person in such a way that it could not be discovered.
15.
Just past. Oh. Okay, so you managed to hide this dagger within your robes.
Yeah, it's not accessible.
Almost like in the breast.
Yeah, it's not something
behind the
It's not something I could pull out quickly.
Okay.
I just don't want to part from it.
Right, and I would say none of you see that happening.
okay. I actually have a question. Did they genuinely change their mind about the hinges?
No. Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, you can't bring a hinge.
They can't bring a hinge.
Yeah, you can't bring a hinge. So essentially, you guys are now, you can still be in your armor, but essentially, you have nothing with you that isn't dagger, letter.
I was going to say I wanted to just in a pocket, like I just forgot to take it out. Thieves' tools.
Sleight of hand.
I'm sorry, everyone was punishing me for being reckless yesterday.
That is a 26.
You were obviously reckless.
I mean, I don't want to know where you've hidden them. But no one is ever going to find
I'm walking really clenched.
I just has that single.
Those tweezers are doing damage.
And who's got the mask and the cloak? Because they tried to take those from you.
We need these.
Let me see him. He hands over it, does a full investigation of it, makes sure there's nothing sort of stashed within it. The mask isn't sort of heavy enough to... Well, I mean, I guess you could kind of bludgeon someone to death with a mask, but like it would take a powerfully long time. And yeah, very well. And you are led into this gated block and towards the steeple building. There's a heavy, heavy guard presence around here. And unlike the guards, even the guards that you saw on the jail, now those ones patrolling on the walls in the middle of the night, just at the end of their shift, They were kind of having conversations. They were still there. There was still a heavy presence, but there was a kind of lackadaisical, I love that word. Thank you so much. I came up with it. There's a sort of lackadaisical attitude to the whole thing, but here there is a discipline that you haven't seen, I would say, you've seen very rarely wherever you've travelled. This is about as high security as you can get.
Dolly is visibly uncomfortable.
Okay.
Radiant sees this and says, Pamela. You'll be fine.
Better be.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Disguise self.
Yeah.
Can you only use that on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we enter, I want to make it clear that I stick with Dolly.
Yes.
I'm staying close to Dolly as moral support, but also just to be part. I think he feels that although he nominated her to be the face of the group for this thing, he feels responsible to be there in specific support of her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you are aware of this presence at your shoulder constantly. Kelnis is right beside you.
Not threatening at all, just simply, I'm here. I'm here.
Maybe.
And the doors of this steepled chamber, steepled building, are open to reveal an entrance hall with this high arched ceiling supported by pillars. And you, in the center of this hall is a carving of the virtuous, like a smaller version of the carving that you saw right down at the bottom that had been painted over the top of. And another set of guards stand at that door, and you're led through that. And visible before you is this painting on the wall. It's 20 feet high, and it wraps around the walls beside and in front of you. And it depicts the founding of the city, almost telling the story. So there's peoples of the world working together, all races, and they're shaping stones and sowing crops and clustered around holy texts. And in the background, bathed in light, is Mount Atria with gold shining at its peak. And the floor on which you stand is smooth marble. It's laid in geometric patterns of light and dark stone. And a path of this lighter stone leads you around to essentially a chamber of desks and clerks. And this guard who's accompanied you all the way through leads you up to the first of these, which is a kind of wizened halfling with lots of sort of wild hair, who's got a little monocle in, who is studying documents, great big ledgers everywhere. And you hear from within the voice, within the helmet, you hear the voice of the guard saying, "Show him the letter." And the halfling sort of looks up. Oh, takes the letter, studies it. You speak for Gronoth.
That's right.
Right. And you wish to have an audience with whom?
Trusk.
Wish to speak to thy advocate?
Yep.
Well, this is very irregular. Should really have made an appointment.
We're pretty irregular, as you can probably tell.
Roll me a persuasion check.
I mean, you've...
Natural 20.
Natural 20.
That is the most, when you say the dice always know, that is the best nat 20 we've ever rolled.
He loves it. Oh, well. Very good. You must be Pamela. Look, I'm sure that the High Advocate could find time in her busy schedule for such esteemed company.
Of course.
Allow me to... I will speak to her myself. And they come down from they were on a desk that was kind of putting them at their level, and they dropped down from the desk and they almost completely disappeared inside the desk. And then you see as they go through a big set of doors, and you see that these doors open into a large chamber where rows of these velvet-clad stools sit before a broad table of carved wood. And then the doors are shut. And you're waiting in this little, almost atrium with these clerks and the guard. And then after a few minutes, the halfling emerges again and says, "She would be delighted to see you. I am to take you there personally myself. Follow me." And the
I really want hair.
the doors open, and you're in this chamber that you've just seen. And you notice as you start to approach this broad table of carved wood that there are vines, not thorny vines, or more sort of ornate flowing vines carved around the table legs, and the face of the table is covered with symbols of the virtuous, and there are 10 chairs behind this broad table, all unoccupied, but they are throne-like in their beauty and intricacy. A lot of time and care has been placed into the creation of this space. It seems more considered, really, than anywhere other than perhaps the Dakar estate where you had the cocktail party. And there are stained glass windows set into a long wall on your left, and there's vivid colour like on the stairways flooding into this chamber, and fluted columns support the ceiling. And as you look up, you see it taper to this steeple above your heads, and you can see that just like the outside has been covered in silver, this has been covered in gold. There's this warm light flooding down. And you are led through great double doors at the back of the space and into what looks to be it almost has the feeling of a boardroom. If that first place had a public feeling, this has a much more private feeling. And then you're taken through the space and into a corridor. Endelian, roll me a d20 with no modifier.
It's a 7.
It's a 7. As you turn the corner, you see sort of some people going back and forth. It's a corridor with various doorways off it. And you see a tired-looking human. Red hair that's going grey, combed in a side parting, with chestnut eyes and a thick moustache, and has a little pendant, starched, kind of quite stiff collar, and a pendant with a symbol of a mouse at its centre. And you see him with his hand on the door, sigh, and then opens the door. Dolly, roll me a history check.
That is 17.
Okay. You recognize him. Mm. This is Riodir Grenweird. He's the reeve, he's the reeve of Mouse, which is a town that you're familiar with, a small town really in the woods to the southeast of here. And he is sort of the landowner there, the lord there. You've not heard any mention of him before as he goes into this chamber. But you would know he wouldn't be a clerk. You'd know he'd be appearing here in some kind of more senior role. And you are led by this little halfling, bobbing along down to the second door from the end on the right, and he gives a little knock. I bring your companions. I bring your company, those who seek an audience with you. And you hear a voice, bring them in. And as the door opens, you see this green-skinned orc, shaved head. They're looking at you over a desk of papers. The papers are very high. There is evidence of in like busyness and work all around. They move some papers aside and say, I hear you come from Granoth.
Dolly's been quite sullen on this whole walk. Her body language is quite closed off. As they enter the room, she kind of goes, Advocate Trusk, yes, we do come on behalf of Granoth, and we unfortunately bring some troubling news, but we wanted to warn you as soon as possible.
She looks at the halfling and says, thank you, Barnaby, that will be all. And, oh, yes, of course. Shuts the door behind him and you hear footsteps disappearing down the corridor. And she stands from behind. Stands up and regards. What news do you bring to me? What news
Very masculine voice.
Absolutely.
Sexy.
Out loud or no, just for Doug, just for the actor Doug Cockle.
Always in the room.
You see Doug Cockle leaning in the corner.
Wind's howling.
What news do you bring to me?
A few days ago, we were traveling through the woods on our way to Bruin. We stumbled across, completely by chance, a group, and some of our company, overheard them talking about a plot involving you, involving the rest of the council, and a plan to, quote unquote, bleed you dry. Those were the same people who were involved in the defacing of the mural. They carried black paint on them. They wore robes. They wore masks. Show them the masks.
Get the mask. Put it down.
And yeah, we decided to bring you this news so that we could circumvent tragedy happening.
Granoth vouches for this.
Yes, we met with him just a few hours ago.
He knows nothing of the masks or robes, but he trusts us.
Well, I trust him. Be foolish not to. Well, for myself, I do not fear the actions of a few insurgents in the forest, but certainly for the rest of the council. It is good to have this information. We will double the guards on each council. We will be more vigilant.
It may be more than that. They spoke of there being a great number. We only saw 4 in total, but the way they spoke, it's more than just a few insurgents, and you should be aware of that.
Very well.
I lean down to Dolly and say, should we tell him about the cave?
They has caves.
We also heard that there seems to be some sort of meeting place for them. We have no real handle on where that is, other than it is some cave network somewhere.
We thinks maybe west of the forest.
Right. But no other information on where it might be. Caves are, as I'm sure looks at you.
I knows
Ryan.
caves.
Your people would know caves.
I knows caves.
This is the first time someone has immediately acknowledged you as a kobold as well.
You knows my people.
It's my job to know as many of the peoples of Reliquiae as I can.
When did you last see kobold?
A long time ago.
Where?
Far fewer than I would like. Perhaps a year ago.
Here?
Well, from time to time, some will pass through. Never give their names.
We does not need names.
I'm beginning to understand that. But not for a long time. It's good to see a kobold face. I hope you've been made welcome in the city.
Is your security up to task? I mean, really up to task.
You carry no weapons?
We
Sometimes
voluntarily gave our weapons.
I'd like to have seen you try to hold on to them.
some people don't need weapons.
I'll be vigilant. If you come to me to tell me of plots against my life have been made before. I'm afraid it comes with the territory of representing the people. There are those who would see us
This might be
fall.
different. This just might be different, that's all.
How can it be different?
We have seen many deception. Is there any on your council who has any lack of trust for?
I'd trust him with my life, even Grenwith.
What's he doing here?
You do not know of Rashid.
No, I was talking about Riyadh.
You don't know what happened to Rashid, though.
No.
Well, when Rashid disappeared, we drew lots to fill the seat. Grenwith's name was pulled, that's why he's here.
When did Rashid disappear?
Month? Perhaps 2.
Hi.
If I knew that. That's why we've up. The security has already been tightened in light of this. He's a great friend of mine. I trust that he gets these ideas in his head from time to time. He's passionate about defending the people. He wishes to be a voice to the voiceless, and so sometimes he takes himself away. He disappears for a while, and then we find that he's made contact with a tribe of gnomes somewhere outside Lathi, and he's speaking for them because they're illiterate and can't make their own protestations to the council. It's why he was done it always. It's why he was suggested as an advocate. He's a great ally of mine and a great friend, and I believe he'll return. But while he continues to be absent, the lots were drawn and Grenwith was pulled. So you probably know how this would happen. Essentially, within election cycles, you'd have full elections. But if someone disappears, they literally put all the landowners in a bag and they just pull a lot. And it could be whoever leads the city of Escalon or Caressian. It could be someone who owns, 2 chickens and a pig.
You has a friend missing. You has a plot against you. I thinks you should check every guard for this.
And points at the mask.
And the cloak.
They all wore these masks, these cloaks.
They did.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even take them off.
Even amongst themselves.
Keeping their identity secret from one another.
Yes.
For the most part.
I step forward and I say, we know more.
What do you know?
Dolly's gonna message and be like, careful.
I'm going to roll a perception check against, what's your spell save DC? Because you have to whisper.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right next to her. So your spell save DC, I think, is 14. So she will roll
Yeah.
perception. Let me just bring up, actually, a decent... There we go. Rolled an 18. What are you saying?
Just said to...
You do not come into this chamber and keep things from me. You come by orders of the antiqua, of the goddess of truth.
Mm-hmm. Not meant to deceive, just to protect.
Young lady, you are not here to protect me,
I
as
wasn't talking
well-intentioned
about
as
you.
it might. So what do you fear that I can't help you with?
We fear that this is beyond masks and cloaks and missing counselors.
Well, until I see evidence of it, I cannot, with the information you've given me, make any changes. You say you see 4 people in the forests a day from here. You know something about caves. I'm glad to have this information from you. Truly I am. And perhaps it is this group, if the worst has happened, that has something to do with Rashid. But I cannot change beyond circulating the mask, beyond doubling the guard, I cannot change anything because I do not know in which direction to move. This will be taken to the rest of the council. We will speak of it.
You can't trust the council.
Who are you?
The person who just came to you with information to save your life. We are not trying to deceive you.
I do not think there is deception. I'm saying there is an absence of detail. What move would you have me make based on what you've brought to me?
The shadow will flood. What does that mean to you?
Nothing. Something that they scrawled on the mural.
It means something to us.
Tell me what it means.
What do you know of the deference?
It's a yearly religious pilgrimage made by the antiqua to the top of the mountain.
And this year, everything went as planned.
They came down, they gave the messages from the gods like they always do.
Except they didn't.
What do you mean?
Who is your god?
Norva. It's the god of books.
You love your god.
I follow my god. I respect my god. I live by their teachings.
Radiant?
It's on the tip of your tongue, isn't it?
Anyone want to stop me?
Trying to.
I actually don't want to stop him.
Your god is dead.
I step forward. I place a hand on.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
We come into your chamber because Gronoth trusts us. Because we escorted him up to the top of that mountain and we saw your gods dead.
I realise in this moment the cat is out of the bag. There has to be some sort of... And I says,
Why does you think Gronoth is not here?
Roll me persuasion with advantage.
It's the one time I was happy for you to say it.
it's a 13.
It's a 13. Because... And she searches for an answer and she can't find one. And she looks back at the letter. These people speak for me and with my voice.
I do not speak these words easily.
You seem to.
I speak the truth. A truth that could save your life.
And she just sort of, I mean, this is a huge thing for her to hear. She puts her hands to her head and she starts to pace up and down. Not like she wants someone to ask what she's thinking, but she starts to pace up and down. You can see as you look in this room, this is like the room of someone who is very action orientated, who is doing things, who is making decisions. And the weight of the world was on her shoulders, and before she could at least still straighten up underneath it, but for like now she is. We need to call the council. We need to tell the council. I need to see Gronoth.
I think you needs to see Gronoth before the council. You thinks you can trust all the council.
Yes.
He does not know if we can even trust all of the antiqua.
The antiqua are spotless before the gods.
The gods is...
Well, they're spotless before where the gods once sat. What do you know?
That not everyone can be trusted right now.
And she pushes past you and goes out the door. And you hear her shout over her shoulder, I'm going to speak to him myself. And guards immediately go into the room to check that you're not.
Can I step outside and have a look at where Reunited went?
Yes. So Reunited went in the... So as you came into the corridor, you were looking down it, and there were 5 doors on your right-hand side. You've just come out of the second door from the end, and he was second door from the beginning. So there's one door in between Trusk's and Grenwit's.
Are the doors closed?
Yes, all the doors are closed.
Can I try the door he went into?
Absolutely. It opened.
I go to stop her. I grab her hand and I remove it from the door handle.
Excuse me?
I don't say anything.
Roll me a, what are you gonna do?
What are you doing?
We're not going in there.
Why?
It's not where we need to go.
It's not where you need to go, maybe.
It's not where we need to go.
Where do we need to go?
We need to follow that counselor.
Are we being stopped?
You have guards walking with you as soon as you start walking. Like, you are going to be fully escorted in this space. There's no way they're going to leave you alone inside it.
I will go with you.
What are the rest of you doing?
We'll talk about this. I'll take my hand away from the door.
I, Radiant?
Mm-hmm. So just to get the lay of the land of where we are, we're being escorted, but there's this door that's
Grenweird.
Grenweird went into.
Grenweard.
And Radiant has witnessed this encounter.
Yep. Yep.
We've
I think that
all
was public.
witnessed-
I think that was
Yeah, I
public.
think we would have.
This encounter.
Yep.
And you've just set off.
Yeah.
You've gone. But with guards. And I'm by the door.
And I've gone with Indelian.
You've got guards. No one's left you alone. There's
No,
guards in this corridor.
we just wouldn't do that if we had guards. We wouldn't have the audacity to just walk into a room that we weren't invited to go into.
You didn't walk into the room you were invited to go into. Dolly put her hand out to put her hand on the door handle,
Yeah.
and Indelian grabbed it before she could do so. Had you tried to get into the room, something might have happened, but you never got that far. I can't stress enough, there are guards everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't want any of you to be under the illusion that you are in a space where you can move freely.
I'm going to keep
Brilliant. Then we
walking.
carry on.
Okay. Let's take a very short break, because I need to think. So you are following Trusk with her retinue of guards, trying to keep up. She's striding fast. She's wearing this these very humble-looking robes, like undyed wool. She has a narrow wooden circlet around her head, and she sort of takes it off, and she starts to stride forward around around her shaven head. And she checks over her shoulder, and she says, "What are you doing?"
Coming with?
"Why? You know the truth. I don't need a guard. I don't need an escort in my own city."
Yes, you do.
There are like 6 fully armored pikemen who turn around and look at you as you say that. She like throws her hands in the air in frustration, walks through this chamber, bashes her way through the double doors, like all the way through the chamber, out over the out the room without the building but the steeple,
Yeah.
across the courtyard, demands that the gates be opened, like this kind of roar from her, and she's starting to make her way over towards Graunoth. You just want to follow and listen to this conversation. What's your... I don't need to know your intention particularly.
We can't just leave our weapons.
Oh, we do need to grab our weapons, yeah.
Right. So, as she storms off, you need to pick up your stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know where she's going.
Yeah. And by the time you get your stuff and gather it, she's in the distance. She's gone. And if you are intent on making your way back to Graunoth's, Brynhilda opens the gates for you and says, "They are in consultation. It's better that she hears it from him than from you.
We'll wait outside.
And wait here." Of course. So you're waiting in the courtyard beyond outside the building.
Radiant, you just did exactly what Graunoth asked you not to do.
What?
Can't go around telling people the gods are dead.
She wasn't going to believe us.
Why would she believe
You were
that
the one that
gods are
said,
dead?
tell them about the plot, nothing more.
She didn't believe there was a plot against her life. She said she could deal with it.
Perhaps she can deal with that, but she needed to know more. But perhaps that was too much more.
When Graunoth tells her the truth, she will know that we told her the truth.
For once, I agree with Radiant.
If Gronov is still alive.
What if Gronov does not tell her the truth for her own sake?
He's the god of... He's being worked for the god of the truth.
Well,
That's...
yes, but
Keep throwing the word trust around a lot these last few days, and you just have to trust that Gronov will tell her the truth.
We need her. Let's just wait.
And you wait. And after quite a long time, it's fair to think she would have had quite a few questions about this. She emerges. With guards around her. And she looks at the five of you and nods. I must inform the others. I'll tell them. I couldn't believe you. And she looks at you, Radiant, in particular. What you came to me with was beyond understanding. But the truth is beyond understanding. I see that.
You understand the threat now?
I believe so.
Okay.
We are trustworthy people.
It's that word again.
Remember that.
please.
And I am open to wise counsel, remember that.
I will.
He looks to you, I. Oh, you said please.
Please. After Radiant.
Yeah, very good.
After
That was good.
them.
It's very good manners. It's just not. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost anything.
Trained him well.
Could you open the gates for me, Brynhilda, please? And the gates open, and she starts to make her way back to the council chambers.
Should we follow?
Why?
I feel like that was what I was sort of expecting to achieve, was that the council would be told and they'd believe it. So for me, I feel like that.
I have a
follow.
question for you,
Don't have to answer it, but carry on.
and you won't.
And don't carry on. It makes a difference to me.
But I'll ask it again,
Okay.
and then I will ask it again until you give me the answer.
Oh, you do like to keep going on about things.
What was in that room that you didn't want us to see?
It wasn't about what I didn't want you to see.
Roll me persuasion or deception. Don't tell us which one.
As an empath, I sense something is going on here.
It's 16.
Okay. Roll insight against that.
It's a 15.
Okay. You believe that?
Mm-hmm. So who was it?
Well, you know who it was.
Who?
Grenmid, you saw them go in there. You know who it was.
Why do you not want us to see them?
I said it.
I would say with a successful check in that moment,
Great.
that moment is almost full stopped and tied up for now. There's a chance to go back to it, but that check kind of mechanically has a half-life.
This answer pleases me.
Yes!
Radian will remember that.
Yeah.
One!
It's been a long day. Maybe we need to.
Maybe we need a drink.
It's the best thing I've heard all
I
day.
am hungry.
You watch as Kelnis's eyes, eyeline kind of passes
Sweet
by the
tacos.
decrepit taco stand on the edge of the Great Park.
I don't think this level
No.
is where we need to be. Let's head back down.
So you make your way back down the stained glass, brightly lit staircase. You're flowing in the same direction as the Azure Mosaic River. Feel like you're flowing downstream. And you emerge back into the depths. I would say at this point it's midday, 1 o'clock, lunchtime.
5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock geographically. Where would it be 5 o'clock? It's probably 5 o'clock in Brack. It's always 5 o'clock in Brack. Please, Discord, don't now figure out a 4-hour time difference between So the market is super busy at this point. You've had the morning rush, but now it's really food that is order of the day. There's everything a person could want, bar tacos, and I think corn dogs was the other thing you really wanted, right? But yeah, you're in the depths, and you're in the deal, and this is the busiest, this is the most humming with activity you've seen it.
Where should we go?
I mean, normally the nose on this one finds finds food. So
Well,
Of questionable
not found
quality.
food we want to eat so far. Anything you've smelled, we do not want to eat.
Tell me, guys.
Want to go to the Walker or you want to go to the Orange Tree?
we've not been to the orange tree.
Let's go to the Orange Tree.
Okay. So you, either by asking about or by your memory of where these places are from your time in the city before, you find your way to the Orange Tree. And the Orange Tree has very much a sort of fantasy gastro pub vibe. So like it's a slightly different clientele. There's a little bit of, this would be like the favoured haunt for a lunchtime drink of the people who live on the large estates that are on the edge of the deal, the upper middle class.
It's a Miller and Carter.
It's a Miller and Carter steakhouse.
Sorry, that is such a reference to be full.
It's the
Red Star.
it's the Ivy Brasserie.
Okay.
You know, it's that kind of thing. So it's really
not
it's
our
really
place.
Not our place.
It's not our place.
really a little bit
Are
more
we
high
standing
end.
outside?
You're standing outside. Yeah, you haven't yet gone in.
I points to a board and asks someone to tell him how much that pint is, and goes,
Is how much?
There are flowers that are being cultivated and hanging out of window boxes and all that sort of stuff. It's very zhuzhy. And Delian, roll me perception.
That is just 11.
11. You hear a loud voice. You don't see a face, but you hear a loud voice from in there saying, "And I said to him, right, I tell you, I said, not with yours I wouldn't." And you hear this like big laugh, this peal of laughter, and you recognize the voice.
Yeah, I don't think this is really the place for us.
Thirsty.
Yeah, I think we should find somewhere
You was
else.
thirsty?
Roll persuasion. I think let's not met again. You were already leaning towards not going in.
It's
but we'll
an
see.
18.
It's an 18. I think I'm just going to rule that.
Can I? I think at this point, Kel would go,
Street food.
Let's go back to the Wise Walker.
Wise Walker. Okay.
It's more our vibe.
I'll get you one of the big drinks.
I was happy with it.
So you make your way back to the Wise Walker. The Wise Walker is crowded and buzzy and people kind of jostling at the bar, but it has everyone roll insight checks as you're in there. I think I in particular was kind of thinking, was it a sort of a dive for nefarious types?
But they had high chairs during the day. 9.
9, 12,
16.
16,
10.
10, and a 12. Kelnis, it seems like a kind of pretty standard tavern. You all feel that, but Kelnis, you don't sense a deep criminal element.
Can I, when we were walking in, can I glance at the web marking, see if anything's changed about
Yeah,
it?
it's been scratched out. It's been obliterated.
I wouldn't know this, would I? Because did they? They didn't point it out to those of
No,
us
they
who were
didn't
inside,
point
did
it out
they?
to the three
No,
of
we
them.
took
So the
our
only
picture
people
for
who were
it.
aware of its
That's
existence
right,
actually
yeah.
were Radian and Dolly. I don't think you ever
Yeah,
really
so we
asked
wouldn't
how
know.
Casper found
No.
the
I
two
just
of them.
remember this is the place where they had some really nice beer.
Yeah, and you go in there and there is nice beer. There's a good selection on tap. The Dragonborn isn't behind the bar this time. But there is human, undercut, sort of neck tattoo, who's like, hi, yeah. What can I get you? What's your poison?
There's a chair.
Oh, yeah, one for the little ones. Yeah, I can sort you out a table, little man. Yeah, no worries, no
I
troubles.
likes him.
Say again?
I likes you.
Oh, I likes you. Bless him. You brung him up real well.
Yeah.
Bless him.
And I just look at Calnis and go,
What do people keep saying?
Are you still wearing the I love my mummy t-shirt?
I'm gonna say
You are!
I'm gonna say yes.
I forgot!
I'm
You
gonna say
just
yes.
found out about the truth of the world and you spoke to essentially the government with an I love my mummy t-shirt.
And my mummy loves me.
I love my mummy and my mummy loves me. But if that weren't proof positive of your veracity and of your...
Well, I has no idea what's this.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
So they find you a table, they get you a high chair, and you get yourself some drinks. Mm-hmm. You get yourself something to eat. Everybody roll perception checks.
18.
Radiant 18, and 10, Calnis? 23.
13.
13? 12. All of you, apart from Endelian and Dolly,
I've got a drink now,
have
so
a
I'm...
drink. I think I'm going to, if you'll allow me, I think the two of you, having the moment you already had, are sort of looking across the table at one another, and there's this unspoken, we need to speak, or there's something tense, and there's such commotion, there's noise in this bar, but the other three of you hear above all that noise, like the door pushed open hard and fast, and you look up and Casper is looking around, scanning the tavern, and he sees you in the corner, and he walks up to your table and leans into your table, and he gets really close. And he looks terrified. He says, he wants to see you.
Oh.
No, it's a fucking great question.
No, I love it because I just love that everyone else is like, yeah, I probably get it. And Doug's like, no.
Yeah, no. He says, I don't know if you do get it. He says, he wants to see you. And after you ask, who? He says, with a tremor in his voice, Spider Prince. And that's where we'll end our session. Right. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Well, some stuff happened there. We will discuss this all on Action Surge, which if you are a Patreon member will be available...
Like now.
If you're a member of Patreon, you could go right now over to our Patreon feed or the Patreon podcast feed or whatever, and you can see our post show straight away. The rest of you, I'm afraid, you're going to have to wait a whole week to hear us break this down. Do check out our Patreon if you haven't already. Do check in on the Discord, say hi to us. Any reviews that you can leave us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other platforms where you're enjoying this, we'd be very grateful. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go and decompress on camera, and we will see you soon for more adventures in the world of Reliquia. Oh, I
love that. The bass.